Today, Kevin Durant and LeBron James will be completely switching their entire NBA careers, meaning LeBron will experience KD's career, playing for all of his different teams and reimagining some of his iconic moments.
Will throw in. Gets it to LeBron for three for the win. Yes! LeBron James at the buzzer!
And we'll also be witnessing Kevin Durant play out LeBron's career as he attempts to live up to the King's legacy. But for now, we head out to Cleveland in 2003, where a newly drafted Kevin Durant is preparing to make his NBA debut. And he was immediately making an impact not only for Cleveland, but around the league in general, putting up very impressive year one stats, already asserting himself on the All-NBA third team to go along with his first All-Star appearance, as well as winning Rookie of the Year. But this would come as no shock for KD, who coming into the league would have hefty expectations, already being branded as the possible GOAT. Although what would matter far more than the personal accolades would be the team's success, and with as bad as the Cavs were, they'd be far from winning any rings. Which brings us to the challenge of this video, where KD and Bron will be going head to head to see who can win more rings, so get your predictions in now down in the comments. And it could easily go either way, because even though KD has a 4-season head start and his numbers were rising rapidly every season, even earning the most improved player in 2005, his team was still struggling to make any progress, being swept by the Sixers in round 1 of the 05 playoffs, and then again in 2006, despite averaging over 29 points a game in the first round of the playoffs, leading the entire league in scoring for that round. Durant and the Cavs were still going to be falling flat, this time up against Dwight's Orlando Magic, crushing KD's hopes of winning his first playoff series, and the doubts were starting to creep up.
I'm tired of this man being celebrated. For what? How about winning? Win for once. Just win. Yeah. Just win, baby.
And the pressure was now building for KD, because with LeBron only 1 season away from being drafted to the NBA, Durant's 4-year head start was at risk of being wasted. But for right now, as we head into the 2007 season, the collegiate LeBron James was the last thing on his mind. Because while the team's roster still wasn't great, he now had his best supporting cast around him yet, giving him his best chance to have some playoff success. Of course, the likelihood of that success would ultimately fall into the hands of KD, who would take this opportunity head on with the best season of his young career. One thing about Kevin Durant is that he will score the basketball, and he was doing an unbelievable amount of scoring this year, overshadowing other all-time greats to lead the entire league in points per night, and with it, the narrative was shifting.
There are people who will work for the rest of their life in the game of basketball that can't do what this guy does on a night in, night out basis. Kevin Durant is big time. Yeah,
which played a role in KD winning his first MVP, accomplishing it a couple years quicker than even LeBron did. But with the playoffs approaching yet again, the real question would be if KD could match Bron here. Because in real life, King James made one of the greatest playoff runs in history, dragging this team to the NBA Finals. So the question would be, can Durant do the same as he walks in LeBron's shoes? And with him blowing this thing wide open in round 1, finally winning a series, it would seem very possible. As he moves forward to round 2 against Detroit, Durant was continuing to dominate whoever was in his way, and the MVP was punching his ticket for a trip to his first ever conference finals. But without a doubt here, the Cavaliers would be underdogs, with Miami being fresh off an NBA championship. Dwayne Wade was already looking like one of the best players in the NBA after winning a Finals MVP, and some may even say he was a more impactful player than KD so far, questioning whether or not he should have been the first pick. However, our star was going to be quickly putting these narratives to rest, because in the face of the man threatening his legacy, he would put on an absolute clinic, leading both teams in scoring throughout the series and keeping his team within full control with a statement, leading the series 3-0. And come the final moments of Game 4, with the Heat season on the line and the Cavs seconds away from a finals trip, Durant would have one last signature moment.
In a tie game, Durant for 3 for the win. He's got it! He's got it!
With that game-winning shot sinking in, the Cavaliers were doing it. Kevin Durant was living up to LeBron's legacy and getting his group to the finals. But he was about to have his toughest challenge yet.
I believe he's the second greatest foreign-born player behind Hakeem Olajuwon.
Legacy, obviously one of the greatest pure scorers we've ever seen.
One of the most all-around skilled basketball players we've ever seen.
Nowitzki was the runner-up for not only the scoring title, but also the MVP this season, only barely being slighted by Durant in both categories. So as you can imagine, he was eager to get his revenge here on the young superstar also looking for his first championship. But Kevin had all the momentum coming into this series, winning every round of the East within 5 games or less, while Dirk was tired out going through 2 Game 7s, and with him piling up 38 points, things were going great. Yet, even still, Dirk was pushing to another gear in his second straight finals, taking over this game and completely shadowing Durant's performance, leading up to a Game 1 win on the road. But the Dallas lead would be short-lived, because even though he gave up home court advantage in the first game, Durant wasn't going to let down his hometown fans twice in a row, battling hard in Game 2, knotting it all back up. And with another monster performance in Game 3, things were looking like the Cavaliers had a chance to claim the lead in the series up late, but the Mavericks had one final trick up their sleeve. The Mavericks are down by 1 in Game 3 with about 7 seconds remaining. Still enough time to try to claw back and beat the Cavaliers. They're going to Dirk in a post. Drew Gooden on him. Dirk, 2 seconds left. They're really tough. Leg got it! Dirk wins Game 3 for the Mavericks! Now going up 2 wins to 1, and with Game 4 back in Dallas, Dirk gave his team hope to win it all, meaning things were looking awful for Durant, but don't count him out just yet, because not only would he go on the road to win Game 4, but then back in front of his home fans, he was getting it done again, winning Game 5, now only 1 win away from being crowned a champion. Although Nowitzki was going to be doing everything in his power to stop that from happening and force a final Game 7. But unfortunately, this was all going to boil down to who wanted it more here. There was a reason Durant coined the name The Chosen One.
It's over! It's over! Cleveland is a city of champions once again! The Cavaliers are NBA champions!
KD has done it. He's achieved what LeBron couldn't, leading his team to an NBA championship in 2007, which now gives him the first championship in our competition, a season before LeBron even joins the league. But unfortunately for our star, his celebration would be very short-lived. Because while he'd still be one of the best players in the league over the course of the next 3 seasons, earning the scoring title all 3 years to go along with 2 more MVPs, none of it would matter at the end of the day, with the Boston Celtics and their new big 3 in the way during the postseason. Every single year during this stretch, the Celtics were blazing through the East, to include Durant and his Cavs, wiping out any hopes of adding more rings in pursuit of becoming the GOAT, which would be no easy task, because of course to earn the GOAT title, they would need to pass Jordan's total rings of 6. Bringing us to our secondary challenge of passing Mike, because not only will KD and Bron compete with each other, but they'll also be competing for the #1 spot in NBA history, which we would be far away from with the Celtics winning streak, but soon enough, both of our stars will have some superstar teammates by their sides, giving them a chance to potentially surpass the illustrious 6. For now though, we shift our focus back to 2008, where LeBron James is making his electrifying NBA debut, joining the Seattle Supersonics and doing a bit of everything on the court, whether it's rebounding the ball, finding his open teammates for assists, or just about anything else to make an impact on the game. But most importantly, his scoring was what would make the most noise, because he was apparently taking the idea of filling KD's shoes a little too serious and was establishing himself as quite literally the greatest rookie scorer in NBA history. Rookie of the year LeBron averaging almost 31 points a night. Insane. But even with as good as James was playing already, his career was kicking off very similar to that of Durant's in Cleveland, putting up massive personal numbers, but ultimately unable to find any team success in his first 3 seasons of the NBA, all until the 2011 season, where James Harden was breaking out and becoming the 6th man of the year, and Westbrook was becoming a first-time All-Star.
Now they're back this time. Oh, Russell Westbrook! A spectacular dunk and
Pair that with LeBron James, who was flirting with averaging a triple-double for the year, plus being awarded the Defensive Player of the Year, and it was no surprise the Thunder had a formula for success. Finally turning their franchise around, landing the top record in the West, headed into the playoffs with high hopes. And their postseason would start off with flying colors up against the Portland Trail Blazers, where LeBron James was in the driver's seat from start to finish, leading his team in every statistic, all en route to a sweep, before ultimately running into the Mavericks in the next round, where the young core would be put to the test as they faced some dire adversity up against a team of veterans desperate to win their first rings. While OKC fought hard and had a legitimate chance throughout, in the end they were coming up just short against Dirk, losing in Game 7, but the future was surely bright for LeBron, because he just took the would-be Western Conference champs all the way to a close 7th game as the Mavericks move on to defeat the Lakers in round 3, preparing for the finals, which brings us to the bigger story of this season. Of course, being the fact that Kevin Durant took his talents to South Beach, joining a still very much in his prime Dwayne Wade and an all-star big man in the paint, Chris Bosh, now forming a terrifying big three, by far KD's best team in the league, and even though he was painted as a villain,
and for him to go on there and drag us through the mud for 7 years and stab us in the heart, I hope he never wins anything in Miami. He is dead to me.
At the end of the day, Durant didn't care. He was playing the best basketball of his life, and after winning the MVP for the 4th time in his career, had very high hopes of winning another championship. Because as he finds himself in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bulls, the MVP wasn't the only thing he'd be stealing from the city of Chicago. He was stealing the souls, hopes, and dreams of everyone in attendance for their team's furthest playoff run in 13 years. It was a massacre here, and the Bulls stood no chance. Regardless how loud the fans booed, it didn't matter. The Heat were sweeping Chicago, and Durant was finally back to the NBA Finals after 4 seasons. And as we already know, his opponent winning there was yet again Dirk, the same guy he defeated to win Ring 1. If you remember, that was a back and forth series that could clearly go either way, with both stars carrying their team. However, this time was going to be far different, with Durant having head over heels the better roster, and with some huge help from Wade, this was going to be anything but close. This time around ending in only 5, with Durant winning yet another championship, now taking a strong 2-0 lead over LeBron, and I'm not exactly sure that's stopping anytime soon. Because while King James was going on to have his best season of his career so far, earning his first of what will almost certainly be many regular season MVPs, there was still no guarantee of the Thunder having any success, somehow dropping all the way down to the 7th seed with a 5-way tie for the 3rd seed. And come around to the playoffs against the Grizzlies with one of the best front courts in the league, they were being completely overwhelmed by the paint-dominant team. With LeBron losing yet again, much like Durant, the doubts were starting to rise.
But LeBron James, it is time. And the reason that I say it's time is because his game has come up short time and time again.
Now shifting our focus back to the Heat and Durant, they were up against the San Antonio Spurs in the finals. But with Kawhi only being a rookie this year, this wouldn't be half the scare that the Spurs were to the Heat in the real-life finals with LeBron on the team. And this series would be relatively uneventful, with the Heat winning it easily, now giving Durant a whopping 3-0 lead in our ring chase, also pushing him halfway to Mike 6, and positioning himself for an opportunity at the first three-peat since Kobe and Shaq did it in 2002. And we'd be seeing if they can do that sooner rather than later, because with Harden being traded to Houston, there wasn't going to be a lot to talk about with the Thunder as they lose yet another playoff series. A rough start for LeBron, another loss in the 2nd round of the playoffs. I'm starting to think maybe Westbrook and LeBron together is just simply not a good fit. But what seems to be a perfect fit is KD on the Heat as they make it to yet another finals, this time against Kobe and his Lakers. This offseason, LA added both Steve Nash and Dwight Howard to the mix to try to win now, which was perfect timing because there was a lot on the line for Kobe in these finals. Not only was he attempting to win ring number 6 to match Jordan himself, but he was also attempting to stop the Heat's three-peat from overshadowing his own. This would be no easy feat though, because the Heat's big three on paper was far better than the Lakers, with Wade and Bosh still playing at a high level, and by this point it wasn't crazy to say that Durant was ahead of Kobe currently. But believe it or not, the biggest difference maker may just be Gasol, who would use his size to wear down Miami. But even still, this series was not going to be a walk in the park either way like the last few finals. After the dust settled from the showdown between Kobe and KD in the first 4 games, this thing would be completely deadlocked at 2-2. And with the ever so important Game 5 preparing in Los Angeles, neither side would want to give up the edge here, with Durant and Kobe both going at each other shot for shot in one of the greatest scoring exhibitions ever. It would all be culminating for a climactic close finish with the fate of the season on the line. We have a close Game 5 with a lot on the line. The difference between going down 3-2 versus going up 3-2 is huge. Miami with the ball, though, down by 1. Mario Chalmers, Steve Nash on him. Mario Chalmers kicks down low to Shane Battier. His layup is off. He gets the board, though. They finally give it to Durant, who should have had the ball in the first place. Kevin Durant now. Meta World Peace sticking him. 16 seconds left on the shot clock. He's getting the screen for Chris Bosh. The pull-up 3 over Meta World Peace. It's good for the 2-point lead. The Lakers took a timeout to talk this over, looking to respond to Kevin Durant's massive Game 3 there to extend them to a 2-point lead. Steve Nash with it now. Pau Gasol getting the pick and roll. It looks like it's going to Kobe in the post versus Dwayne Wade. Kobe to drop step. That's way too easy. Ties it up. We are witnessing a back and forth scoring competition between possibly the NBA's 2 best scorers. Durant off the inbound. He almost does it again. Kobe the board, though. Kobe on the break. Mario Chalmers on him, the mismatch. Kobe back in the post again. The same shot. His leg rolls in. Wow, Miami timeout. With only 27 seconds left in the game, down by 2, this is essentially a must-score situation here. Kevin Durant, Meta World Peace on him. Can he get it done again? I thought he had that last 3, but it was just short. Kevin Durant now, one-on-one, getting the screen from Chris Bosh again. KD, he pump fakes, nowhere to go. World Peace recovered on that. Mario Chalmers now, they're swinging it around. Shane Battier, you got to give it back to KD. KD or Dwayne Wade has to shoot it. Not Mario. No way. Wade, the tough 3. Wade is off. Powder board. They foul. One of the best free throw shooters of all time on the free throw line now. He hits the first, has a chance to close this game out. If he hits this one, it's over. And that's it. Miami loses Game 5. And just like that, now Durant and his super team are facing possible elimination with their backs against the wall. But going into Game 6, facing adversity for the first time after creating the Big 3, everybody on the team was clicking and fully committed to forcing a Game 7. With the huge games from some of the role guys like Shane Battier and Ray Allen, the Heat were eventually forcing one final matchup, where the hype would be at an all-time high, with Miami's Big 3 1 win away from a three-peat, and Kobe Bryant 48 minutes away from matching Michael Jordan himself with 6. And while the backup was all the difference in Game 6, it was certain that Game 7 would all boil down to the battle between basketball's 2 biggest stars. But despite both of them being locked in with their A games, there could only be one winner at the end.
So then I couldn't really figure out, is this a rhythm thing? I'm trying to count the seconds that he takes to make his moves. When does he make them? At what times in the game? And I couldn't really figure out that rhythm yet. So I retired not being able to.
Kevin Durant was getting things done, leading the Heat to yet another championship, pulling off the three-peat, and now pushing to a whopping 4-0 ring advantage over LeBron, who, speaking of, was spending his entire offseason training with his team in hopes of pushing their games high enough to compete, and it could be paying off in a big way. Huge season for LeBron, no surprise, MVP, 31 points, 11 rebounds, over 7 assists a night, but can he get something done in the playoffs finally? The answer, though, would quickly become clear as a resounding yes, because not only would they win in the first round, but with a sweep in the second round against the Clippers, their confidence was at an all-time high as they kick off the conference finals. Up against the very young Portland Trail Blazers, this was going to be by far their best bet of making the finals, and LeBron wasn't going to fail in this moment. He was finally winning the West after 7 seasons in the league, and I'm sure you can guess who was waiting for him in the finals.
NBA Finals are here in Oklahoma City.
Thunder!
And they're painting this town blue. It's the biggest sporting event OKC has ever seen, and fans are rallying behind their Thunder.
Game 1 of the NBA Finals. It's a place you always want to be at this time of year, so hopefully we take advantage of it.
It's the Miami Heat and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Someone's going to get the first leg up on getting a title.
And that someone was going to be Kevin Durant early in this series. On the road in OKC, he was scorching hot, averaging over 34 points a game in the opening road trip, lighting up whatever defender attempted to slow him down, and this scoring outburst was too much, giving Miami a 2-0 lead before ever even playing at home. Now shifting the series back to Heat territory, the story would remain about the same. Because even though this is our first finals matchup between our two stars and the world was watching with anticipation, this finals would be anything but exciting. The Heat were winning this one in an easy sweep over OKC, giving Durant the first victory in their personal matchups, also now extending his lead to an insane 5-0 rings, also closing in on Michael Jordan. But while Bron may have lost here, there was still plenty of time left, and there were sure to be plenty more finals appearances. Although we weren't going to be seeing that just yet, because in 2015 we were still having the rise of Steph Curry and his Warriors, and history was going to be consistent in this reality. Because not only would the Warriors crush the Thunder, but they'd be going all the way too.
And the dream season is now complete. The Golden State Warriors are the 2015 NBA champions. Their first title in 40 years.
But in this reality, it wasn't the epic battle with the Cavaliers in the 2015 finals. Because out east, Durant's first season of the Cavs wasn't going exactly as planned. The Chicago Bulls in the second round of the playoffs had all the tools they needed for the upset, and after 4 straight NBA championships, finally, Kevin Durant was falling, but he wasn't out for good. During the offseason, he was hitting the gym, looking to push his game even further by adding some strength, and while his body physically didn't look any different, his abilities on the court were noticeably improved. He was climbing the ladder of the NBA hierarchy once more, and again reclaiming his throne as the league's MVP, putting up scoring numbers reminiscent of his early scoring title days. And once he finally made it to the playoffs, he was bringing Cleveland back to the top of the NBA hierarchy as well, with a dominant performance in the conference finals, winning his squad a trip back to the NBA finals for the first time since 2007. And on the other end of the finals, who else would we be seeing other than LeBron James, who this season was also having one hell of a year, ending up in second for MVP voting, right behind Durant. And in his conference finals, with the Warriors surprisingly missing, it would be a breeze of a matchup, defeating the Spurs in a sweep to meet Kevin Durant once again. We were witnessing a clash of the two biggest heavyweights in the entire league, the top 2 MVP candidates, the 2 most highly decorated active players, and the 2 best players in the association. But still, the story here was elsewhere, instead focused on Russell Westbrook. While KD and Bron were going at each other, Russ was quietly being the most impactful player in the series, completely oversizing Kyrie and abusing him with superior athleticism while putting up some insane numbers. And then a matchup that was supposed to be a close and exciting finish to the season, with Westbrook averaging a triple-double throughout the finals, it would all be concluded in only 5 very short games, as the Oklahoma City Thunder are winning their first ever NBA championship. Another blowout finals between our 2 stars. Hopefully eventually we can get something a little bit more interesting. Maybe one day in the future we will get that intense matchup. But for now, even though Westbrook was winning the finals MVP here, still LeBron was earning his first ring of his career, lessening the gap on Durant, and this was only the beginning.
Who else you want to play with?
Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the one that I want to play with, for sure, in today's game.
LeBron James was joining the Golden State Warriors, forming possibly the best duo of all time, with Steph Curry and LeBron James together. The pairing was like a match made in heaven, with LeBron's points and assist averages both coming much easier with the talented guard teammate, and it should come as no surprise for anybody watching that the Warriors had the top record and the rest of the league was in trouble, sweeping the Cavaliers for a championship in 2017, and then with a rematch against Durant and the Cavs once again in 2018, we'd be getting a sense of deja vu, winning the Warriors' second in a row and LeBron's third straight. Which after the 3 losses in a row, KD would decide to head out west to LA. And in the meantime, LeBron and the Warriors were silencing the Celtics in the NBA Finals, completing the team's three-peat for Golden State, and now increasing his ring total to 4, only 1 shy of Durant. And LeBron has nearly completed the comeback and will look to do so with a new super team. LeBron James was leaving Golden State to become a member of the Brooklyn Nets, teaming up with Kyrie Irving to form another deadly duo. Irving wasn't at the same level as Curry, but he would act as more than enough of a suitable running mate for LeBron, who was just getting into the full swing of his prime, with absolutely no signs of him slowing down anytime soon, still putting up numbers as impressive as we've seen from him so far, and again, on a winning roster. But he wasn't the only star back on a winning roster, with LA shaking things up too, adding the big man Anthony Davis, which may very well be the best player Durant has ever played with. The pick and roll action between AD and KD was a thing of beauty, opening up looks for Durant, or having an outlet to the MVP caliber big man on rolls would make the two-man tandem a matchup nightmare for other teams. Pair that with exceptional role players like Dwight and the feisty 3-and-D guard Caruso, and there was no surprise at all that come June, we would be seeing a finals matchup against Brooklyn for the 5th installment of Durant versus LeBron. The last 4 finals matchups between our 2 superstars were all uneventful blowouts, with one side having the clear edge over the other, but this one was different. Both teams were as close to being equally matched as we've seen, with both our stars having one other all-star teammate, which meant this one, more than any of the others, was going to boil down to the one-on-one matchup between LeBron and Durant, and it would leave fans anything but disappointed. The first 2 games, both Durant and LeBron each exploded for over 40 points, setting the stage for one of the most neck-to-neck one-on-one duels in finals history, and the series as a whole was just as close. But KD was looking to make some separation in the series in Game 3, erupting for 44, but even more importantly, limiting LeBron to only 24 points. While the first couple games were back and forth between the 2 stars and the finish line was close, this one wouldn't be. KD was walking off the court with a huge win, reclaiming the lead in the series, only for LeBron to retaliate with a massive game of his own in enemy territory for Game 4, controlling every aspect on the court, setting the pace for the game. All just to be wasted in the midst of Anthony Davis's best game of this playoff run, scoring at will every trip down for LA and giving them a convincing 3-1 lead. But we all know what LeBron is capable of while facing a 3-1 deficit with Kyrie. And like we've seen before in our reality, LeBron was doing whatever it took to keep his team alive in an effort to add another ring to his legacy. He was doing it all in the court in the next 2 games, putting up some absolutely absurd averages for this stretch. Up to this point, you could easily argue either way that LeBron or Durant was the better player, but in these 2 games, it was clear that the king was on top, tying up the entire series, forcing a Game 7, and LeBron was relaxed for the big moment.
Opportunity to have one game for it all, and you take it. So, it's an opportunity, and it's going to be fun.
But as this one was coming down to the final minutes, I'm sure he was thinking it was more stressful than fun. But at least for us, we were in for a treat. Durant and LeBron have been battling all series long, no different here in this climactic Game 7, as it's all concluding here. They've battled all game long, and now in the final moments, 2.5 minutes left, you have Durant versus LeBron James again. LeBron strips KD. LeBron off to the races, only Alex Caruso to beat. LeBron on the way, his leg goes in. What a play by LeBron right there to get his team back in the lead here with 2 minutes left. They're going to Anthony Davis this time, a really tough fadeaway. It's off. LeBron has the rebound now. Brooklyn with an opportunity to extend their lead in these final moments. LeBron with the Rondo on him. That's a mismatch. LeBron serving the playing field, pushing his pace to the paint over Dwight and Rondo. So far it has been all LeBron James in these final moments. Kevin Durant, you have to fight back. It looks like they're going to Anthony Davis again. He does have the mismatch with the smaller player. The drop step kicks it to Caruso. Caruso swings it around. If Dwight wasn't in the corner, they had an open 3. Kevin Durant getting the screen from Dwight. Kevin Durant trying to get open, finds Dwight, who dunks all over Jared Allen in the paint. 1-point game. Brooklyn now with it, trying to extend their lead again, only up by 1 now with 90 seconds left in this game. Kyrie Irving has the ball this time instead of LeBron James. Kai isoing up. He gets the screen from Jared Allen. Kai to pull up Jay. It's off. Anthony Davis the board. The Lakers have numbers if they push the pace. They're swinging it around. Kevin Durant open in the corner. KD over Braun. It's off. It's off. Brooklyn again now on the other end. There is non-stop action here in these final moments. Kyrie trying to drive it into Anthony Davis. Karis LeVert with it now. Karis LeVert kicks it down low to Jared Allen. Are they going to get it back over to LeBron? Kai, wide open. This is bad. Kai drills it. The Lakers still have time, but they're going to have to start scoring now if they want to have a chance here. No more wasted possessions. You're running low. Under a minute to go. They're going to Anthony Davis again. He has the mismatch. They keep feeding him. AD, the double team from LeBron, gets over to Rondo. Rondo surveying the field, trying to find the open man. Dwight again in the pick and roll. Dwight, another opportunity. Rondo kicks over to Dwight. Dwight with seconds remaining. Dwight, you have to do something. Wow. What an absolute meltdown by the Los Angeles Lakers in the final moments here. They get an inbound. Rondo almost steals it. What is this finish to this game? Kyrie Irving now. Rondo sticking him. You have to get a stopper. This one is all over. Kyrie Irving now, sizing up for Rajon Rondo. Kyrie looking for any opportunities. He's getting the screen from Jared Allen. Kyrie, Rondo's still there. Rondo smothering him. He gets over to Jared. Chandler, Kai from the free throw line. It's off. Anthony Davis the ball. Down by 3 here in the final moments. What is it going to be? Kevin Durant over LeBron for the tie. KD gets the game knotted up. LeBron can't believe it. What a finish here. Brooklyn with 6.6 remaining on the clock. They get it inbounded to Kyrie Irving. Rondo and him. It's going to be Kai taking the last shot. Kyrie, his lay. It's no good. Overtime. And this one is still pretty close here in the final minute of overtime. The Lakers are only up by 3, but that is the biggest lead they've had in quite a while now. Kyrie Irving trying to drive in on Rondo. If you're going to stop here, you're in great situation. Kyrie, another tough lay. Wow. The Lakers with the ball now. This has got to be one of the craziest Game 7 jump-ins I've ever seen. We're in an overtime right now. LeBron versus Durant. Caruso open for 3. Oh, AC is not able to get it to go. Jared out on the board. LeBron on the break. Kevin Durant, the only man to beat, gets by him. KD's defense deters the shot. That's a clean block. Where is the foul? These final moments are stressing me out. 42 seconds left. Kevin Durant off the inbound. Decided not to pull the trigger. LeBron sticking him. KD, the pull-up, the signature pull-up gives him the lead again. This has been a back-and-forth affair between the two best teams of basketball, the two best players head-to-head in these final moments. With 30 seconds left, what is Brooklyn going to do down by 1? Is it going to be LeBron or is it going to be Kyrie trying to reclaim the lead here? Jared out on the screen. It's going to be Kai. A pull-up Jay. It's off. Durant with the board. He's going to the line. The Nets now 19 seconds left. If they hold for the last shot, they can tie it, force a double overtime. Otherwise, the Los Angeles Lakers might leave here NBA champions of Brooklyn. Kyrie Irving off the inbound. Rondo sticking him. Kai's going for the quick 2, rolls it in. They're going to have to play the foul game. Alex Caruso ended up hitting both free throws, so now with no timeouts left, this could be the last possession of the game. The quick trigger, Karis LeVert. It rims out. The rebound. They're not even fouling. This one is done. After losing the last 3 matchups to LeBron, Durant is finally reclaiming the throne, defeating him here, earning his 6th ring, tying up Mike and extending his lead over LeBron. But his story was about to take a sharp turn, because the Lakers were getting rid of key pieces like Dwight, and the following year they let Alex Caruso walk for free. So while KD was still putting up monster performances alongside superstar Davis, the Lakers wouldn't do anything noteworthy the next few seasons. On the other hand, things were going great for LeBron after the loss. With the addition of James Harden, the Nets now had the top record and were favorites to win it all, being put to the test in the finals up against the MVP of the league, Nikola Jokic. And while the Joker was incredibly talented and put up a good fight, the scoring tandem of the Nets' big 3 was way too much for Denver, with the series ending in a gentleman's sweep, getting LeBron a ring in Brooklyn, which Durant wasn't able to do, now also meaning King James is only behind 1 ring in our competition with KD. But the only problem was it could possibly be the last, because just like KD's last ring, after the championship the team was splitting up, and now the Nets were losing the playoffs to Giannis and the Bucks, leading to Brooklyn rebuilding as they shipped LeBron out to Phoenix in a blockbuster deal. On paper, it would look like LeBron was joining another star-studded roster that was sure to make more deep playoff runs, but in reality, the team faced the same struggles that it has with Durant in real life, lacking solid big men or defense, resulting in other teams walking all over them. Losing to the Minnesota Timberwolves in round 1 of the 2023 playoffs, then again in round 1 against the Clips the next season, and then in 2025, completely missing the playoffs altogether. Honestly, not even surprised. 2K hates the Phoenix Suns for some reason. Really wanted to see LeBron have an opportunity to tie Durant and even compete for number 7 against KD, but it's not going to happen. They don't even make the playoffs this year, which means LeBron is completely locked in at 5 rings, which is still impressive, but it would be losing to KD. However, this story isn't over just yet, because KD has one last goal in 2025. He may have won the competition against LeBron, but he still wanted to become the undisputed greatest to ever play. And with a major change this year, he'd have a chance to get that last ring. Luka Doncic was joining the Lakers this season in an unbelievable trade for Anthony Davis, now pairing one of the league's top talents with Durant on a Hail Mary final push. And while KD was still a major factor on this team, it was ultimately Luka leading the charge, earning the MVP award for the season, and possibly making or breaking Durant surpassing Jordan, leading the way for the Lakers to have one last finals appearance up against one of Luka's prior teammates and his star-studded New York Knicks roster. And while it was Luka who led the team to this point, it was Durant who was taking matters into his own hands here. In a culmination of all the events of his career leading up to this point, he would leave us all amazed with one final masterclass of scoring. And while I wish this was some epic climactic finals, it simply wasn't.
This year's Bill Russell Finals MVP goes to Kevin Durant.
KD has done the unthinkable. He has passed Michael Jordan himself, and without a doubt, in LeBron's shoes, Durant has established himself as the greatest player to ever play. But what if Mike joined the modern NBA in an effort to reclaim his throne as the GOAT? Find out how that would play out by clicking this video next. Luka Doncic is now teammates with LeBron James out in Los Angeles, but at one point, they were stars on similar trajectories, both leading their teams to the finals as young stars, but ultimately falling short to a superior foe.
It's over. Time to say it again, Boston. Anything's possible.
But today, Luka will have the chance to rewrite history as he'll be living out LeBron's entire career, going from team to team over the years until he eventually teams up with King James in the modern day 2025, who will also be put into some new shoes, living out Luka's career as a member of the Mavericks starting in 2018. But that'll be coming soon, because for now, we'll be going all the way back to 2003, where we kick off Doncic's career with the Cavaliers.
Left side of the floor, Luka's three is a wrap.
And it would be no surprise that his rookie campaign was gonna be electrifying. Coming into the league scorching hot, averaging over 17 points a night to kick off year 1, playing out of high school with sky-high hopes of being crowned as the GOAT. And with him expanding his game past only scoring, his case for Rookie of the Year was inarguable, winning the award, but there was a big issue. His team was struggling all year and missed the playoffs. Much like LeBron, there was only so much that Doncic could do with a lackluster group behind him, making things more difficult to live up to the GOAT status. Which, speaking of, brings us to the topic of Luka surpassing LeBron's greatness, which to do so, he'll have 3 goals, to include matching LeBron's point total, having a winning finals record, and getting a three-peat, something LeBron never did. So with such high aspirations, we're gonna skip straight to Luka making some progress, which just so happens to be 2007, the same season that James made his first finals appearance. Because with the way Luka was playing, it was very possible that he could do the same, closing in on averaging a triple-double for the year, and with that, catapulting the Cavaliers to their best record of all time, which happened to be at the perfect timing, because with the East top teams like the aging Nets and the Detroit Pistons both exiting their prime years, the Cavaliers' window to win would be wide open come the playoffs. And with the whole world watching, waiting to see how Luka responds, he would be quick to deliver on the massive expectations, making quick work of the Wizards in round 1. And then we'd see the early stages of a massive rivalry developing before our eyes. with Doncic marching into a matchup with the Celtics, only to eliminate them just as fast as DC, resulting in the Cavaliers celebrating their first trip to the conference finals since 1992, but things were about to get much more difficult. Now finding himself face to face against this year's MVP. And he wasn't alone here, joined by all-time great Shaquille O'Neal, who may have been in the back end of his career, but was still a formidable running mate for Wade in the Heat. Fresh off a championship the season prior, now giving Big Z a slew of issues down low, eventually getting Miami the 1-0 lead on the road, which puts the pressure on Luka now, looking like he may be blowing yet another season unless he can figure things out fast. However, he was doing just that, coming back not only on his home floor for Game 2, but then on the road in Miami, he was firing on all cylinders, using his array of scoring abilities to lead his group past the Heat, now only one game away from a trip to a franchise first finals. And after a long fought back and forth Game 5, the Cavs had the ball for the last possession with a chance to get that one win, and it would be all up to Luka. Luka has a chance for a legacy-defining iconic moment, an opportunity to send Cavs to the NBA Finals for the win, the pull-up! Oh, it rims out! Oh, that is devastating. Now with the Heat getting within arm's reach on Cleveland's floor, Luka's miss may have been fatal for the season, because it was beginning to look like Doncic and his Cavaliers were about to fall short yet again, with Miami storming into Game 6, crushing Cleveland, stealing all the momentum in this series, forcing one final Game 7 to determine who wins the entire conference. And with his haters preying on his downfall, this would be the biggest game of his career. But now with a fire lit under him and his back against the wall, he was going to be taking care of business in Game 7, proving the Heat's small run was nothing more than a scare, eventually winning this game in a blowout backed by Luka's career high to silence the doubters. And now there was only one more hurdle, which was shockingly Steve Nash and his Phoenix Suns, also joined by Amari Stoudemire, two all-stars who would go ringless in real life, meaning one of these franchises was walking away with their first ever championship and making history, but it was hard to say who, because despite Luka unleashing a scoring fury to start the series off with 2 wins at home, he was only a one-man army, and it would be difficult to continue outclassing both Nash and Amari. So while Phoenix tying up the series after 4 wasn't so bad on paper, with Cleveland still having home court, things were getting much scarier as the Suns won Game 5 on the road, now going up a strong 3-2. Eventually justifying the fears of fans, with the final shifting back out to the Arizona deserts, and Steve Nash having an MVP caliber game to close this all out, winning the NBA Finals after 6 games, ending our star's season short. And despite him averaging a near triple-double for the series, he just didn't have enough to get it done. I guess the one positive is Luka won 2 games while LeBron got swept in 2007. But don't forget, soon enough, LeBron will be in Luka's shoes with a chance to rewrite his own story and also possibly outdo Luka. But in the meantime, Luka was living in the gym during the offseason, clearly on a mission to get over that hump and bring the city of Cleveland their first ever ring, and all the hard work was about to pay off, with a massive bounce-back season following the devastating finals loss, improving on all aspects of his game that had an impact on him crumbling only 2 games shy of a ring, becoming stronger for more offensive opportunities in the post, elevating his game beyond the arc for threes, and everything else in between, all until he would earn his first career MVP. Again, nearly a triple-double, but this time member the 50-40-90 club as he improves his three-point shot. Stellar season for Luka, 1 year quicker on the MVP than LeBron, but there's a little bit of a problem. If you remember, last postseason, we alluded to the Celtics rivalry with Luka, and that was about to pick up a notch this year. Cause in an effort to overcome Luka and win some rings, the Celtics were forming a stacked super team, bringing in Ray Allen to add some much needed space into the court, and they also acquired one of the best bigs in the league, Kevin Garnett. So naturally, we'd see the Celtics waiting in the conference finals, and with Luka by himself, Boston would be heavily favored, and this series would be ending quick. Except that it may not be ending quick for the reason you expected, because it would actually be the league's MVP, putting his team on his back. And in the face of one of history's most stacked rosters, he will pull off possibly the biggest upset ever. But it may have hurt his goals more than it helped.
Kobe is the greatest Laker ever. It's astonishing and amazing.
Like, he's the most prepared guy that I've ever seen.
Quickness and agility and ability to get his jump shot off from anywhere.
This year's finals opponent needed no introduction, head-to-head with one of the greatest to ever play. And Luka would have aspirations to one day be in the same conversation as Kobe, but today wasn't that day. Luka would average close to 30 a night in this final series, and while we may see it one day, it wouldn't be a passing of the torch moment like he'd hope. In back-to-back years, Luka was falling short at the pinnacle, meaning even though he's made more finals than LeBron so far, his goal for a better record was taking a big hit, and the haters were even louder than ever before.
He's a regular season dynamo, but come postseason time, he's the most overrated, overhyped superstar in my history in this business, seriously.
Although Luka was up for the challenge of proving the doubters wrong, regardless of what it takes, yet again having a major bounce back season after the finals loss, earning his second consecutive MVP after another huge year, but this time around the critics were still skeptical.
We know you're great. How about winning? Win for once.
Just win. Yeah.
Just win, baby.
Welcome
Just
to the
win.
dark side.
But it was true, because so far we've seen Luka continually fall flat, not only losing twice in the finals, but nearly throwing away a season after missing a clutch opportunity. And things weren't improving anytime soon, because on the back end of his Cavs tenure, the Celtics were getting their revenge, crushing him in the playoffs in 2009, only for the following year to be blown out the water by Dwight and his Magic, even after Luka won his third straight MVP, which leaves you wondering if Doncic truly has what it takes to live up to LeBron's legacy. Because as we closed out his Cleveland tenure, he performed well in the regular season, but he really missed the mark with finals losses and total points scored. But on the bright side, major change was coming.
And for him to go on there and drag us through the mud for 7 years and stab us in the heart, I hope he never wins anything in Miami. He is dead to me.
Just like LeBron, Luka was taking his talents to South Beach, forming his own super team with Chris Bosh, and of course star Dwayne Wade, who he has history with. This three-headed monster of a trio in Miami was the absolute perfect pairing, maybe even more so than when LeBron in real life. Doncic's passing ability was on par with James, leading to great chemistry with his co-stars, and his drastically superior shooting abilities created an even more lethal offense in this reality. Sure, his defense was significantly worse, causing a slump there, but at the end of the day, that didn't seem to matter, because the high-paced offense was buzzing, leading to 67 wins on the year. But most still weren't impressed with Luka being painted as even more of a villain than LeBron was, which is likely due to the fact that Cavs Luka had more finals appearances and MVPs than LeBron, leaving fans even more disappointed. But for Doncic, he had to look out for his own legacy, and who knows, maybe one day he can return to Cleveland to right his wrongs, but in the meantime, he'd be earning his 4th MVP of his career already, putting up by far his best statistical averages yet, and was looking unstoppable heading into the postseason. But don't chalk it up as a win just yet, because the rest of the East had some threats, like his round 1 matchup against the Bucks versus a young and eager Brandon Jennings in Milwaukee, or his potential second-round opponent, a rematch against Dwight Howard and his Orlando Magic, or finally, if he makes it to the conference finals, a matchup with Derrick Rose. So with the postseason underway, the first round would be a test of where the Heat's level was at, and they would prove quickly that they were the real deal, sweeping Milwaukee after 4 scrappy games. And then, with an opportunity for revenge against Dwight, Luka would shut down any doubts whatsoever after his second straight sweep and a look of determination in his eyes. But that was until he was facing the Chicago Bulls and D. Rose. Because after 48 minutes of Rose slash into the paint, dunking and finishing over whatever defenses, we'd have a final score that was nothing to be proud of, which was only followed up by more heroics from Rose in Game 2. On the road again in Miami, with no signs of slowing down, taking a commanding 2-0 lead and stunning the world. Luka's defensive flaws were coming out finally. LeBron took the Rose matchup here in real life, but for Doncic, that would be no easy task, and this season could be finished. Except the first 2 games were only a scare, and after Luka and Wade combined for 80 on the road in Game 3, there was no looking back, taking over the rest of the series and getting back on track of their goals, earning a trip to the first finals of the Heat era. But as he walks on the court here, he was up against a familiar foe once again. one of the greatest of all time. We've seen this battle between these two stars before, just a few years ago, but this time was more even, with Luka having some backup now. However, that isn't to say that this would be some walk in the park, because it was anything but that, with both sides trading blows early. One game, Kobe would score at will for a win, only for Luka to follow it up with a little bit of everything, and then Gasol would have a breakout night, only for Wade to counter back as Luka's Robin. All until these finals were completely knotted up after 4, moving this series forward to an absolutely crucial Game 5. More often than not, the team to win the Game 5 of a series goes on to win it, which simply further intensifies the stakes, as this one comes down to the last 2 minutes of a close game, and Luka would finally have an opportunity for redemption. It has been a long time coming since the last time we saw Luka in a close game, dating back to Cavaliers versus the Heat. Now on the Heat, a chance for revenge against Kobe Bryant. D-Wade with the ball, Luka, Steve Blake on him, the tough post fade. He gets to go in. Now it's a 1-point game. With 1:40 left, though, you have no room for mistakes with a player like Kobe Bryant on the Lakers side of the ball. Kobe with it now. D-Wade guarding him. He gets the screen from Bynum. Kobe, a pull-up 3. That's too easy. Oh, wow. They get a break. Now Miami has his opportunity to take the lead here. Luka driving it on Steve Blake. Luka back in the post again. Loses it. Powell with the ball. Steve Blake loses it. Big C the ball. C the dunk. Gives him the lead. What a series of events. 33 for Powell tonight. What a battle between the bigs. Bosh had 20-something. Steve Blake is not Kobe Bryant in these final moments. Luka guarded Steve. Kobe trying to get open. Artest wide open. Bang! Gives him the lead again. The Heat with it now. This is possibly the biggest moment of Luka Doncic's career so far. In the paint again versus Steve. They're going to Big C again, though. His lay ties him up. The unlikely Hero Ilgauskas is there. Kobe Bryant with a D-Wade on him. The Miami Heat desperately need a stop in their home court. Kobe Bryant trying to get open. Wade is all over. Kobe, a really tough lead. How did he make that? Miami isn't going to tap out just yet, though. They used a timeout with half a minute left. There's plenty of time. Miller was wide open. He didn't take Artest Gamble to miss it. Nonetheless, though, Luka Doncic with the ball. Steve Blake on him. Chris Bosh the screen. Luka for 3 and the lead. Got it! Luka sinks the shot. Doncic and the Miami Heat are 20.1 seconds away from a 3-2 series lead, 1 win away from Luka's first ever championship. They go down low to Kobe. Kobe Bryant, the post fade, that's way too open. Oh my goodness. 10 seconds left in the game. Do the Heat have enough gas left in the tank to get things done here? Luka with an opportunity to win this one for Miami. Steve Blake guarding him. Luka getting bumpy. The pull-up J seals the deal. Luka gets it to go for the win. Miami takes the series 3-2. Following that huge bucket, Luka is only 1 game away from a ring, and nothing was about to stop him now. Walking back on the road to LA in one of the fiercest arenas in basketball, he'd have one of the best games of the season and was finally getting his passing of the torch moment.
The Miami Heat are once again NBA champions.
Finally, Luka Doncic was on top of the NBA world, officially winning his first championship, a year quicker than LeBron even. And this was only the beginning, as Luka was on the verge of dominating the league, because they were finding themselves right back in the finals, up against OKC, and while Kevin Durant and Westbrook are one of the best duos in the league, Luka at this point was undoubtedly the best player in the league, winning the MVP for the 5th time this season and averaging a 30-point triple-double in the finals, which was far more than OKC could keep up with, ending this series early.
It's back-to-back titles for the Heat.
Now not only tying up his all-time finals record and continuing to be ahead of pace of LeBron, but also putting himself in position for a three-peat, which was a very realistic goal, because after earning an unbelievable 6th MVP, his run through the postseason was looking as impressive as ever, eliminating team after team in the East, until he'd have yet another run-in with the Lakers and Kobe Bryant. And while the last 2 meetings results were climatic and up in the air, this one was anything but that, with Luka and his group winning yet another finals with relative ease, now outdoing LeBron by pulling off the three-peat, while simultaneously now having a winning finals record. I think it's pretty easy to see that Luka has surpassed LeBron in the Miami Heat era, but for Doncic, he's not stopping there. He wanted to close out his last year with the team by ending any possible argument about whether he's the greatest Heat player in franchise history. So for one final run with an aging Wade and Bosh, our star was about to put on a show starting with the MVP. A 7th MVP. That is just crazy, but possibly not as crazy as the fact that Luka and the Heat had a chance to four-peat back in the finals again. Although it wasn't guaranteed, facing Durant, looking for his revenge, playing the best basketball of his career, and taking the first game of this series. Only for Luka to retaliate back twice as hard, and it was only a matter of time before he yet again proved himself to the world. Now accomplishing NBA history, firing off for 4 straight wins to complete the four-peat in the perfect 4-year stretch for Luka. 4 MVPs, 4 Finals MVPs, and 4 titles. Closing out the Heat era with a noticeable edge over LeBron, on pace to complete his goals by the end of this. But first, he had some unfinished business back in Cleveland. Luka was finally back, and now at the peak of his career, was looking to right his wrongs and bring a ring to the city of Cleveland. Picking up right where he left off in Miami, continuing to average some incredible numbers, but as we all knew would inevitably happen at some point, he would start to slow down slightly. Meaning with other very talented up-and-coming players starting to gain recognition in the league, for the first time in years, Luka wouldn't be winning the MVP. But that didn't mean that Cleveland wasn't the favorites to win it all, because he had some new stars backing him up, most notably Kyrie Irving, a very young elite shot creator that rivaled even D Wade's help in his prime, resulting in an even scarier offense than we saw in Miami. And what would follow would be an unbelievable record, but there was still an issue. Out west, LeBron's #1 rival in his career was just heating up into dynasty form. The Golden State Warriors were hot as ever, with star Stephen Curry revolutionizing the game with his shooting, and 8 months later, we'd be in the NBA Finals for the first installment of the Warriors and Cavaliers clashing, as Luka and Steph will likely begin an intense rivalry, with Curry being the first to take a punch in front of his Golden State fans erupting from beyond the arc, and Cleveland had no answer, taking a 1-0 lead early. Although I was at a loss for words at what would happen next. We've come to know that Luka was capable of huge performances, but I had no idea just how valuable he was to a team. Following up Curry's big game with near flawless basketball, and the results would simply speak for themselves. I was not expecting this to happen. Luka wins ring 5, surpasses LeBron, brings a ring to his city. Yeah, he might be the GOAT. And that was about to be put to the true test, with the following season being the Warriors' 73-win year, playing at an even higher level and super eager for a rematch against Doncic, who was continuing to play like a man with no fear of any other team, completely steamrolling through the Eastern Conference with support of K-Love and Kyrie, working their way to the Eastern Conference Championship and preparation for the rematch, which would be night and day compared to the finals in 2015. There was a different level of intensity involved here. Golden State wasn't backing down against the face of the league, who's won the last 5 rings. They believed they were about to be the ones to stop him and had a solid chance of 2-1 after 3. But for the first time in a long time, Luka's teammate was stepping up to the plate to save the day. Kyrie was having probably the best game of his career at the perfect time amidst the possibility of going down 3-1, and instead they knocked things up after 4. So now we find ourselves back in Cleveland for another absolutely critical Game 5 with the series at stake. And if you remember our last crucial Game 5 against the Lakers, Luka was saving the day with a huge performance to push his team ahead. But now it was Steph who would be doing just that, playing incredible all game and finishing things out with the dagger.
8 seconds. The 3 to win the game.
Now giving the Warriors the edge. Only 1 win from finally stunning Luka, and back home in Game 6, with the season at stake, they had the lead late. So for the 100th time now, we'd be seeing how Luka responds to the big moment. The Cavaliers find themselves in a bit of a sticky situation here, down late in Game 6, trailing the series. Season's over if they lose here. They need a big game from Luka, who drives in the paint and gets stuffed at the rim by Andrew Bogut, meets him at the top. Harrison Barnes in the break. They find Draymond Green, draws the foul. Good news is Draymond is liable to miss one. There it is. Frankly, he may even miss both. Look at this guy's form. It rattles off. Luka gets the rebound. That's Kevin Love with the rebound. Luka with it. J.R. Smith, do not sell the Cavaliers. We've seen what you've done in the past. Luka Doncic with the ball, driving on Clay, using his strength. Too strong, blows him out the way. 2 misses in a row. Unbelievable choking by Luka Doncic. Harrison Barnes with it now, driving in on Kevin Love. He jumps at nothing. Oh my, 3-point game. If you're a Cavaliers fan, you have to wonder what is going on here. A minute remaining in the game. Luka way too easy drives in. I will say Cleveland desperately needed that basket from Luka Doncic. If they didn't get that, this could have been over right then and there. Curry with the ball now. Kyrie guarding him. Curry forcing in the paint. His layup's off. Luka gets the rebound. He's off to the races. 3 guys to beat. Luka blown by Harrison Barnes again. Draymond and one! What a finish over the Draymond Green foul. With his history, you could probably review that for a flagrant, to be honest. It was probably malicious. Stephen Curry with the ball now, though. Down by 2. 50 seconds left. This is not over to take a timeout. Let's see what the Warriors drew up in that huddle. What did they figure out with 47 seconds left in the game? What did Steve Kerr cook up for this team? A post look to Steph Curry with Kyrie on him. A crowded paint. Andrew Bogut in the clutch. No way that's what they drew up. Cleveland with the ball now. Luka with an opportunity for the dagger. He forces his way in. He will not take no for an answer. You're one stop away from forcing a game 7 here. Steph Curry with the ball. 30 seconds left in this game. They use another timeout. If you're the Cavaliers, you do anything but let them get a 3 here. A 3 here means they can play the free throw game. They can get it tied up with another 3. And with their firepower they have, that is dangerous. Steph driving it in. Somehow gets right by Kyrie really quickly. Of course, they're playing a foul game. Kyrie's at the line. Kyrie misses the second. No timeouts left for Golden State. Down by 3. They have an opportunity to tie the game and force overtime. Harrison Barnes has it. Curry. Kevin Love on him. How did this happen? He takes a 2. That's a mistake. You just have to get this ball inbounded. Frankly, I thought there was less time on the clock. Maybe the 2 wasn't so bad. If Kai misses another one, you can win the game with a 3. Irving sunk the first one, up by 2. The biggest free throw probably of his career at this very moment. Still no timeouts for the Warriors. So either way, right after this free throw, they have to get the ball up the court quickly. Down by 3, 7 seconds left. The final moments of game 6 of the NBA Finals. Steph Curry with it. It goes to Draymond. This is who you want shooting it. It's off. The Cavaliers survive. They're headed to game 7. Unfortunately, though, this game 7 was going to be out of reach of the Cavaliers from the very start of the game. The Warriors were flipping a script of real life, now winning the game 7 in this reality to come out on top, meaning for the first time in 6 years. Luka was finally losing, but you couldn't even blame him. Can't really blame Luka for this one. He did all he could. And unfortunately, things are about to get even worse, because Kevin Durant was making the decision to join the Warriors, also looking to win some rings like Steph. And with this new Golden State super team, the Cavaliers are going to be getting smoked the next 2 finals in a row, just like LeBron did in his own reality, abruptly leading us to the end of Luka's second Cleveland stint, only making small progress on his goals and starting a fresh final era in our story, which of course will be the start of Luka rocking the purple and gold, moving his talents out to the Lakers. And with him already having more rings than LeBron, he doesn't have much left to prove here to match James' legacy, but with him only 1 ring behind Jordan, that could be all the motivation he needs. Although we weren't seeing that possibility yet, with Doncic surrounded by young raw talent, unable to make the playoffs in his first year in LA. But this season isn't over yet, because it's finally time for LeBron's debut. Being selected in the draft and sent straight over to Dallas, he was instantly drawing the love and hype from fans around the world. Rightfully so too, because he was putting up some huge numbers in only year 1, which would easily give him Rookie of the Year just like Luka, which speaking of, LeBron would have his own set of goals as well, to surpass Luka's time in Dallas, and his was simple enough, just earn an MVP and win a championship. But we'll talk about that soon, because for now, Dallas is missing the playoffs too, and we need to shift back to LA. Which is because after a failed season, LA was desperate to get Luka some help, trading away their young stars for an established Anthony Davis, and he was the perfect pairing with our superstar. You may think that with Doncic being 35, his team was doomed, but that wasn't the case. Pairing with AD in the pick and roll made the game so much easier for Luka that his numbers look like stats from 6 years ago. So it goes without saying that this team would be far better, now making the playoffs. And with LA rounded out with quality role players all around, Luka was having relative ease in his postseason run, just like LeBron did this year in real life, without much changing in this reality except for his finals opponent, which would be yet another run-in with the Boston Celtics. And as we know, over the years, Luka has had several run-ins with them. And with this year's rendition being backed by a young Jason Tatum, the results here would be familiar to most of the previous ones, because backed by the veteran experience of Doncic combined with a roster loaded with other experienced vets and young athletic talent, and you'd have a formula for success against the young Celtics. We may be seeing more of them in the near future, but for now they weren't ready yet for this moment. Luka looked like he still had some gas left in the tank, putting up a Finals MVP worthy performance in the series, and he was about to be matching MJ, winning yet another championship, raising his total to 6, while also cracking a positive Finals record all time, making great progress on LeBron, who, speaking of, we have yet to talk about. However, it was for good reason, because the 2020 season, while we did see an improvement, particularly his points per night making a leap, his team was still far from making any noise. But don't worry, help was coming very, very soon and will be our new focus of this sim, because there wasn't much more to talk about with the Lakers. Following their 2020 championship, dispersing most of their supporting cast, and they'd struggle to find much more success, just like they have in real life. Age was catching up to Luka much quicker than it has to LeBron, and him slowing down was getting noticeable. So there wouldn't be any more rings for him, locking it in at 6, and the only thing worth mentioning was that he did still break Kareem's scoring record, albeit a couple seasons after LeBron did. Meaning now, as we close out Luka's career, he accomplished all 3 goals and definitely outperformed James. But now, LeBron has a chance to do the same. The only problem being that it would be an extreme uphill battle, because even with the front office bringing in some help like Brunson and Porzingis, there was just too much talent in the West for the young LeBron to get past early in his career, steadily improving his numbers every year, only to fail at some point in the playoffs. All until 2023, something was different. James was looking better in every way, more explosive, better at creating shots, finishing better than ever before, and he would get the recognition he deserves. A LeBron James MVP, 33, almost 34 points a night, nearly averaging a triple-double. LeBron is doing just fine in Dallas. And even though he lost in the conference finals, it was clear he was close to making that final step. Appearing in the 2024 NBA Finals up against Tatum and the Celtics, the very team that Luka lost to this year. But this was LeBron we were talking about, the most dominant player to ever touch a basketball, and at 24 years old, it was obvious that the league was his for the taking moving forward. The torch has been passed again, and our next great legacy was beginning. The finals was a complete flip of real life, and LeBron James was becoming an NBA champion, meaning he, in fact, accomplished both his goals to surpass Luka, and you'll have to be the judge of who was more impressive. But what if LeBron and Durant swapped careers instead? Find out by clicking this video next. What if we took LeBron James and the great Kobe Bryant and swapped their entire basketball careers, sending LeBron to spend 20 years in Los Angeles while Kobe lives out LeBron's legacy on multiple different teams, all starting out in his home state, Ohio, on the Cleveland Cavaliers? Which leads us to questioning who will go down as the greatest of all time. Because while both players have lived in the shadow of Jordan's 6 rings, today they'll have a chance to pass him. Because with their careers swapped, they'll be racing the 7 rings to become the undisputed GOAT. Although for now, our story is just beginning in 1996.
The Charlotte Hornets select LeBron James from Lower Merion High School in Pennsylvania.
LeBron James was instantly making an impact for the Lakers. While Kobe spent much of his rookie year on the bench, LeBron wouldn't. The hype was real, and he was regarded as the most NBA-ready rookie the league has ever seen. He was doing a bit of everything on the court with 22.3 points per game. He was bringing down 5.9 boards a night, and with 6.9 assists per game, he was getting his teammates involved. This was all enough for him to be crowned as the Rookie of the Year over Iverson. And it was also enough to help his team land a playoff spot versus Utah in round 1. LeBron was continuing to play well in his postseason debut, but so far we've only talked about half the story. We haven't mentioned yet that a lot of the success was due to him being teamed up with one of the best players in basketball. With as exciting as LeBron was, Shaq was still the #1 guy on this Lakers team. He was the main reason for their success this season, and he'd be critical for any success now. The rookie LeBron was playing out of his mind, but you can't rely on a first-year player, and other than Bron, the rest of the team was pretty mediocre overall, which unfortunately meant that this very deep Jazz team are going to be manhandling the Lakers in this series. They'd be getting bounced in round 1, but James shouldn't be upset, because with Kobe still only in 8th grade, LeBron has plenty of time to take advantage of his head start. And with the 1998 season rolling around, it was looking like he was doing just that. LeBron was taking enormous strides in just his 2nd year, and even after putting up insane numbers as a rookie, he was finding ways to push his game even further in year 2. James was developing significantly faster than Kobe did in real life with the Lakers, and he was already a legitimate star alongside Shaq. Already in his young career, he was becoming an all-star starter, and the media continued to hype up his game.
LeBron James is there right now, and what he's doing is just so spectacular.
However, the hype can only carry his career so far, and he'd have to prove that he was a winner. They'd finish the season with the 3rd seed, and he would have a chance to do just that. And with the smaller Gary Payton being his matchup, he was about to feast. The Glove was known as one of the top defenders in the 90s, but that may partially be because he never ran into anything like LeBron. King James was a specimen and a one-of-a-kind player in this time period. Payton wasn't even coming close to slowing him down, and it would be a first-round sweep of Seattle. LeBron may have just won his first series, but there was no time to celebrate. The next round was going to be a lot more difficult versus a young Kevin Garnett. KG was going to be a serious problem for the Lakers on both ends of the floor. He was one of the league's up-and-coming stars and was plenty good enough to upset LA. LeBron was still playing well like he has been all year, but Kevin Garnett wasn't going to fall easily. With KG having 2 years of experience over Bron, for now he was definitely better, and it was clear James would need some help to win. Luckily, he had all the help that he needed, with the big Aristotle holding things down. LeBron was fortunate enough to enter a career with a superstar teammate to help him transition to becoming a winning NBA player, and with this help, they were coming out on top of the Wolves. LeBron and his team were ecstatic to be making the conference finals for the first time since the Magic era, but things weren't getting easier, because now their next hurdle was the same team that embarrassed them last season. And funny enough, the Jazz swept the Lakers in the conference finals in real life this year, which means in order for LeBron to advance, he's going to have to outperform Kobe's legacy from 1998. Like the story has been so far, you may expect to hear about how Shaq would be leading the charge in this attempted change of history. And Shaq absolutely would be important, but there was a different narrative now. The person taking full charge this time around was LeBron James. He was a man on a mission on the court and wasn't letting anything get in the way of him in a trip to the finals. He may only be 19 years old, but LeBron was already playing like a veteran in this league and looked like a fitting replacement for Magic Johnson. The world was in awe of the new king around town, and he was leading one of basketball's most storied franchises to a spot in the finals, and I couldn't believe it. Super impressive to already make the finals in year 2. Gives them a big opportunity in this competition, but with it being 1998, it's going to be very difficult to win. By no surprise, Michael Jordan was waiting with his dynasty Bulls to take on the Lakers in the finals. This matchup was going to be much more challenging for Bron, with a man his own size sticking him. In the conference finals, he was looking unstoppable, but here in the finals, it was night and day. Everything LeBron tried in the court was being shut down by Chicago's defense. James was clearly exhausted trying to compete, and one man would take advantage. Michael Jordan was like a shark who smelled blood in the water, and he was after the young LeBron, and nothing LA did could stop him. This was the perfect moment for Mike. Not only could he shut down the up-and-comer trying to take his throne, but he was getting revenge on Shaq, who bounced him back in '95. The Lakers were barely putting up a fight and fell to Chicago after only 5 games, and while LeBron is only 19 and almost guaranteed to win some rings soon with Shaq, for now the haters were quick to trash James.
He wasn't even LeBron James. He was Alfred James. This was just pathetic. I mean, come on.
But heading into the 1999 season, it was obvious that LeBron was determined to prove everyone wrong about him. Most 20-year-olds would have crumbled under his situation. To be endlessly hyped up by the media coming out of high school, and with only 2 years in the NBA, to be completely crushed by critics as if he's failed. James isn't most 20-year-olds though. He was using this pressure as motivation and completely taking the league by storm, and for a moment would silence the doubters. In just year 3, we have an MVP. 38-8, 2-2. What an incredible season from LeBron James. But he was only going to be silencing them for so long, because while he was looking as dominant as ever in rounds 1 and 2 of the playoffs, once he got to the conference finals, that aura would fade. It was his first of what will surely be many run-ins with Tim Duncan and the Spurs. And it wasn't just Timmy to be worried about. They also had the Admiral David Robinson down low. With the Twin Towers protecting the paint, things would be difficult for LeBron to score. He's developed some shooting, but so far his game is still primarily reliant on the paint. These two giants commanding the paint also meant Shaq was not going to be able to save LeBron here. With all that said, the pressure was on, and there was a possibility of another major collapse in the playoffs. Bron was going to have to dig deep if there was any way he was going to come out on top here. San Antonio saw the intensity getting to the Lakers, and much like Mike did last year, they were going to take advantage. Both bigs were taking turns working down low in the post, and they'd walk into LA's home court and steal away 2 wins like it was nothing. So far in this sim, LeBron's looking like a loser, but all of you watching can be winners with today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. The way it works is super simple. You just choose between 2 to 5 of your favorite players and predict whether their stats will be higher or lower. If you get them right, you can multiply your money exponentially in a single night. And on the topic of money, Underdog is hooking you all up with bonus cash when you sign up with code Allen at underdogfantasy.com. So check out the link in the description down below or the pinned comment and use code Allen during sign up to get your special pick to go along with up to $250 in bonus cash. With all the action going on in the NBA playoffs, right now is the best time to check out Underdog Fantasy. I've been playing almost every single night and I enjoy it every single time. It's truly a blast. This is one of my pick'ems from last round and I actually did end up winning some solid cash. So again, thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you sign up with the link below and use code Allen to start playing for yourself. And now let's see if LeBron can start winning in this series against the Spurs. With this series moving out to Texas on the Spurs home turf, these next games would be massive. The matchup wasn't over yet and LeBron would have himself an opportunity to rise to the occasion. As this thing continues on the road, LeBron was reminding the world why he was given the MVP of the league. He may have had some troubles in the first couple of games scoring, but he wouldn't let this be a massacre like the finals last year. With Shaq getting less touches in the crowded paint, LeBron was taking matters into his own hands and pushing the pace of this game. He was practically living on the fast break and turning defense into offense. James was living up to all the hype and expectations here because he was the real deal. This series was being tied right back up at 2-2, but that's not where LeBron was stopping. Back in Los Angeles for Game 5, it seemed like he had the Spurs all figured out. He was on fire this matchup and his jumper simply refused to miss. In just 3 games, the Lakers completely flipped this series around and took control with the lead. We were still far from the end though, because Tim Duncan wasn't folding like this in his first conference final. He may only be a second-year player, but he was developing just as fast as LeBron. The Spurs would get this thing tied up to force a Game 7. And we are bound to see this matchup between Duncan and LeBron a lot over the next several years, but as we get ready to tip off, only one can come out on top today. Right out the gates, both sides were totally locked in to try and seize the moment. They both knew whoever wins here would be massive favorites in the finals against the Heat and were practically walking to a free championship. All of Shaq, LeBron, Duncan, and Robinson were fighting for their first rings, and the outcome of this match would show it. As the game was winding down to the final moments, both sides had fought hard and their results were up in the air. LeBron and his Lakers are down by 2 right now, 40 seconds left in the game. They get it down low to Shaq, just swinging it back out, swinging around Derek Fisher, LeBron James with it. 10 seconds left on the clock. You have to score here. You're in a bad spot. They're going to Shaq. They're not going to LeBron. Shaq's hook. It's off. Oh my God. LeBron tried to run in there for the O board. Didn't get it. The Spurs have it now up by 2. The Lakers aren't fouling, which is surprising for the 2K AI actually. If the Spurs score here though, it's pretty much over. You don't have enough time. They're burning all the clock. They're going to rely on their defense. I've actually never seen the 2K computer do this. They got the screen, the corner, Ellie swinging around. This is paying off for the Lakers. Deep shot, no way. Shaq gets the board. They take a timeout. Knowing very well that this timeout could be the last of the season, they work to drop a play to either tie the game or win. The question is, between their 2 stars, who would be the one taking this final shot? And we're about to find out as Rodman prepares to inbound. 4.3 left. LeBron James gets the inbound here. 1 second left. Oh, that's not a good look. That's not a good look. Those final seconds all happened so fast, I hardly had time to react, but they felt like forever for LeBron, and he'll be spending the whole offseason reacting to it. And while he dwelled on that missed shot all offseason, it was simultaneous to him working on his game extensively. As far as he was concerned, he didn't even have a summer, because all he did was continue to play basketball. LeBron James was now ready for something special. The expectations for LeBron coming into the NBA were massive, and many thought there was no chance someone could live up to them, but here, in this season, he was completely surpassing them. His numbers were taking another leap, even further than last year, and it was enough for him to become the back-to-back MVP. He was doing it all, from scoring to playmaking to rebounding, and it was rewarded. But that isn't where his accolades would stop. Just like the year prior, his defense was top-notch, and he'd be earning some extra hardware. James was getting the Defensive Player of the Year, which is something Kobe never accomplished. But as we all know, what matters in this competition is the rings. And come the playoffs, it didn't look like anything was stopping LeBron from having the perfect year. They were up against the Spurs again in the conference finals, but this time around was going to be vastly different from last year. James was on a tear against the defending champs, and his improved shooting made the crowded paint irrelevant. LeBron was taking this matchup in a sweep to tie his battles with Duncan at 1-1, but more importantly, to earn a trip to the finals. Which meant now with no Jordan in the way, LeBron had a legitimate chance to get his first ring in our competition, and I was confident he would. This is who the Lakers are up against in the finals. They beat the Sixers. I'm not gonna say it's impossible for LA to lose, but I will say it's not possible for the Knicks to win this. Like I was expecting, there was absolutely nothing that New York could do in this series. LeBron and Shaq were finally getting everything figured out, and it was beginning to look unfair for other teams. There was zero doubt in my mind that the Lakers were the best team in the NBA, and they were proving it here. LeBron was getting his first ring in commanding fashion with a sweep over the New York Knicks, all on their own home floor. This means LeBron is now officially getting on the board for our competition with the ring number 1, and as all of this is happening, Kobe Bryant is only just now wrapping up his freshman year of high school, meaning James very likely could be taking a massive lead here, because it was clear Shaq and Bron found the formula for success. With Kobe still 3 years away from his NBA debut, the door was wide open for LeBron. The Lakers were getting back into the finals in 2001, where they would face the Hornets, whose best players were Mashburn and the young Baron Davis, and that would quickly end in a championship for LeBron and the Lakers, extending his lead, and it wasn't stopping there. The next year, they were matched up with the Milwaukee Bucks, and there still wasn't a single soul slowing down LeBron in the entire league. This one was more competitive than the last couple, but in the end, LeBron was still winning. And believe it or not, LeBron wasn't stopping at a three-peat. He was closing out 2003 with another one. That makes it 4 straight rings for LeBron to already have a 4-0 lead over Kobe. And while Bryant is officially drafted and can now fight back, his team just isn't good enough yet. LeBron's, on the other hand, was still going strong and getting even stronger. We'll fast forward to the finals of this season, where LeBron was making his 6th appearance in 7 years and was continuing to dominate the league here versus the Pacers. Ron Artest was the best defender LeBron has seen since Pippen, and it would be a bit of a scare to the end of the Lakers dynasty, but in the end, LeBron had enough to get it done in 6, which in turn results in LeBron extending his lead even further to possibly an insurmountable 5-0 advantage. I did not think LeBron was gonna win 5 with Shaq. This video really might be a lot shorter than I was expecting. And you may be thinking it's already all over for Kobe Bryant in this competition, but on the bright side, Shaq was leaving for Miami and now LeBron was all alone. His Lakers teams wouldn't be making any notable progress the next several years, so now we're gonna go ahead and shift all of our focus to Kobe's story. We're starting off in his rookie year, where he was coming straight out of high school and joining a Cleveland team without much significant help around him. It certainly wasn't the same situation LeBron came into with a top 10 player all time, but he was going to have to make do with what he had. Like LeBron, there was a lot of hype around his name coming into the league. And similarly, he would put up some massive numbers in his rookie outing. In a class stacked with guys like Wade, Carmelo, and Chris Bosh, Kobe was still standing above them all as the most impressive. He was earning a Rookie of the Year himself, but that would be our last similarity to LeBron's rookie year. Because unlike LeBron, Kobe wasn't making the playoffs at all in his debut, as his team landed the 12th seed. And the following year didn't have much different results. Kobe was still playing solid himself, but was definitely growing a bit slower than LeBron did in this sim. Of course, this would be a massive problem, because if Kobe doesn't start improving enough to compete for some rings soon, this challenge may be over before it really even gets started. But we have to come to the realization that Kobe just wasn't good enough quite yet to have any chance at a title. 2005 would be an even worse season than 2004, believe it or not, and going into 2006, it wasn't much better. 2006 and Kobe still doesn't make the playoffs. He's 1 win off. He was close, but this year LeBron made the playoffs for real life and he got to the 2nd round. This is a major setback for Kobe, and I'm starting to worry. I may have doubted the Black Mamba a bit too early though, because in 2007 he was finally making some progress. Kobe was a full-fledged superstar in the league by now, and if his teammates weren't going to help him, he was going to take matters into his own hands. This year would see a new career high in points per game for Kobe, and much of that would be due to the fact that he was taking the majority of his team's shots. It would result in memes like these, but more importantly, it resulted in his first playoffs, which is massive because in real life, LeBron made the finals here, and if Kobe could do the same, he has a chance to possibly win his first ring and start catching up to LeBron's massive lead. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because for now, he has to face the first round versus the Nets. This was the debut for Kobe Bryant in the postseason, and he was showing up just as much as he would in the regular season. For this series, he was averaging some incredible numbers, and it was beginning to look like any doubts about his ability to win could all be vanishing very soon. Bryant was fully doing his part, but could the rest of his team keep up? That's where the problem would arise, because Jason Kidd was leading the charge for New Jersey, and nobody in Cleveland could slow him down. He was fully loose to do as he wishes on the court, and you couldn't even put the great defender Kobe on him because he was busy elsewhere. They also had a young Vince Carter playing the best basketball of his career so far, and Kobe was completely wrapped up in trying to slow him down. This duo was a tandem that Kobe wouldn't be able to overcome all on his own, and that would ultimately be his downfall. With the Cavaliers losing this series after 5 games, anybody rooting for Kobe here might want to start panicking. Well, Kobe's opportunity to get back in this did not last long at all. Pau Gasol has arrived to team up with LeBron James. With the addition of Pau Gasol on the team, LeBron again had an opportunity to get back into winning. Gasol was one of the best bigs in the league and was an excellent second scoring option alongside LeBron James, who recently started wearing the number 24 and has continued playing at an MVP caliber level, which would land his team the top record. LeBron and the Lakers were back in the playoffs against the Hornets, but first let's talk about Bryant. After coming up short the previous year, Kobe was determined to finally make some progress in his career. He is now going into his 5th year in the league without a single playoff series win, and with this Mamba mentality, that was absolutely unacceptable. Backed by another high-level season, Kobe was again carrying this awful team into the playoffs. And these playoffs will finally be the moment where Kobe is making some progress, because in the first round against an aging Detroit Pistons roster, Kobe was by a landslide the very best player on the entire court. In an effort nearly all on his own, Kobe was getting his first ever playoff win. Unfortunately, though, that's where it would end, and his success would continue to be limited, because round 2, Gilbert Arenas and his Washington Wizards had the overall better roster, and they were coming out over the Cavaliers. The only bright point for Kobe was the fact that LeBron and his Lakers also lost in round 2 against the Carmelo Anthony Nuggets, but that would only last so long. Because in 2009, he and LA were winning the conference finals to make it to the NBA finals. Which, to remind you, means LeBron now has a chance to take an even larger 6-0 lead, but we still have to see who is in the finals. Which of course takes us out east, where Kobe Bryant continues to improve. He was not only winning the first round of the playoffs again, but this time he wouldn't be stopped in round 2 and was making it his first conference final. And in his first appearance, somehow Andre Iguodala led the Sixers here past Boston. Iggy was a solid player, but he was no Kobe Bryant. The Mamba was on the attack here, and after somehow avoiding the super team Celtics, there was no way he was not finally getting out of the East. He alone averaged half the Sixers' entire team scoring throughout this series, and you'd be a fool to think that this season was like the others. I wasn't expecting it, but Kobe was finally making it to his first finals. And we'd also have our first finals of Kobe against LeBron, with a lot at stake. With Kobe trailing and at risk of going down 6-0, this would without a doubt be the most important series of his life. But unfortunately, this wouldn't even be remotely close. LeBron James and his team were so far ahead of the Cavaliers that this series was nearly a joke. Kobe didn't play poorly by any means, and in fact played great in his first finals, but his team just wasn't talented enough. If you blinked your eyes, you'd probably end up missing it after the Lakers were winning in 4. Just when you thought things couldn't get worse for Kobe, LeBron was taking a 6-0 lead over him and only needed one more ring to win this. But it wasn't over just yet, because in 2010, LeBron was facing a much stronger foe in the finals. The Celtics were stacked with Garnett, the Truth Paul Pierce, and one of the best shooters ever, Ray Allen. This was a very close matchup, but Kobe lives to see another season in this competition. Paul Pierce was rallying his team together and figuring out a way to outlast LeBron and keep Kobe's hopes alive. Of course, it goes without saying that Kobe also lost to the Celtics this year, considering he wasn't in the finals, but that losing might all be ending. Kobe was announcing that he would take his talent to the Miami Heat. After years of failure with an absolutely terrible team, he now has one of the best in NBA history. He was joined by Dwayne Wade in the middle of his prime and an all-star big man, Chris Bosh, holding down the paint. This was a very different dynamic than LeBron's real-life Heat, because Kobe was much more of a scorer than a facilitator for this team as LeBron was. But it was honestly working absolute wonders, and the team chemistry was developing quickly. Kobe and Wade meshed together seamlessly and played off of each other's shot-creating abilities. A lot of times, two ball-dominant high-level scorers clashed on the same team, but that was far from the case with these two here. They were fully in sync, and Kobe's stats saw a solid increase now that some of the defensive pressure was dispersed elsewhere other than him. As he settled in his new team, it was all coming together perfectly, and the cherry on top was Bryant receiving his first MVP accolade. MVP number 1 for Kobe. He's finally getting on the right side of things. On a team this good, he might be getting on the right side of things as far as winning a championship as well. And as Kobe is breezing through the East playoffs, it was looking like I was right. In the past, even if Bryant played absolutely perfectly, there was still a good chance that his team would lose. But now with all the talent assisting him, even if he didn't play his best game, more than likely not, the team was winning. They barreled past every opponent and they were on their way to the NBA Finals. But on the other end, we wouldn't be seeing LeBron, because in the Western Conference Finals, the San Antonio Spurs were giving them major issues. Way back at the start of our sim in 1999, I mentioned we'd see a lot of the Spurs. And while I haven't shown many of the matchup, they've played each other in the playoffs more years than not. For the most part, it's been the Lakers winning. But in 2011, that wouldn't be the case, as the Spurs advanced to face Kobe. LeBron may have had troubles competing against this San Antonio team, but one thing for sure was that Kobe was not. The Spurs didn't have a single answer on their roster capable of slowing down Bryant, who was averaging 32.9 points per game during the final series on great efficiency. Even if they could slow down Kobe, I'm not even sure that it would help. because Wade was still playing at a high-level superstar caliber at this point, and two combined together weren't going to be outdone by the Spurs. Kobe Bryant was finally doing it. In his 8th season, at long last, he would be experiencing winning a championship, which now means he's finally on the board in our race to 7, and that isn't where he was stopping. The Heat weren't settling after winning and added one of the league's best 3-and-D players. With Battier available for Kobe to kick it out to off doubles, this team was now even better than the year prior. Kobe was defeating every team in the East again, and for the 2nd year in a row, they were playing the Chicago Bulls in the conference finals, and the Heat would be shutting them down for a trip to the NBA finals. But this time, LeBron James was waiting for Kobe for a finals rematch. If you remember back in 2009, LeBron had the significantly better team and completely embarrassed Kobe. But now in present day, the script is completely flipped, and Bryant had the far better team and was getting his revenge against LeBron. The Heat blew up the Lakers, fueled by Kobe's desire for vengeance, and now the Mamba is adding onto his ring collection to lessen the gap. But don't start celebrating too early, Kobe fans, because LeBron was still a threat. The Lakers added Steve Nash and Dwight Howard to their roster, and it was only a matter of time before they were in the finals again. Both the Lakers and the Heat had the best records heading into this, and it was going to be an all-out battle. On one of the things, the combination of Lakers big man would give Bosh huge issues. Having both Gasol and Howard in the paint was going to be incredibly difficult to stop. But on the other side of things, the Heat had a massive advantage over LA with the Wade and Nash matchup. Steve was way too old to be guarding D-Wade at this point, and he would even things out with the big man battle. Which leaves us the matchup between LeBron and Kobe. This series ultimately would come down to who was the better player and who could outperform the other in the finals. It would go back and forth with each other every single game, and it would end up going the full distance to a Game 7. In this final match, Kobe would have the advantage with home court, but LeBron didn't care. He was still playing his best basketball of his career and was determined to finally get his 7th championship and win this competition. His only problem was that Kobe was a fierce competitor and just as determined to win here, which resulted in the game being nearly even come the final few possessions as LA took a timeout. Just to remind you what's at stake here, it's not just this finals on the line, but the entire competition is on the line for Kobe if he can't hang on here versus LeBron. Late in Game 7 with the game close, there is a lot on the line. This might be the highest stakes matchup I've done on any sim on my entire channel. If the Lakers win here, the competition is over. If the Heat win, Kobe survives another season. LeBron James, Shane Battier locking him up. Jody Meeks with the ball. Kobe Bryant on him. They're getting it back to LeBron. Steve Nash down low. Dwayne Wade guarding Nash. An old age Steve Nash with the game on the line. He goes for the tough leg. It's off. Kobe beat Bryant the rebound. Up by 1. He's pushing the pace. Oh my God. He lost the ball. Is it a kicked ball? It was a kicked ball violation. Kobe might have just got saved. He definitely lost his dribble there. 29.6 left. I'm surprised the AI is not fouling. They're going to let him play. Then he gets down low to Chris Bosh. Dwight Howard, a great defender. Bosh is layers off. He gets the board, though. Hold on to the ball. He's headed to the line. Chris Bosh, with not only the season on the line, the entire simulation on the line right now. His first free throw is good. Free throw number 2 coming up for Chris Bosh. 21 seconds left in this game to put him up by 3. It's good. Does LA have any timeouts? It looks like they don't have timeouts. Or if they do, they're not using it. Down by 3. LeBron with the ball. The fantastic defender, Shane Battier, is sticking him. LeBron one-on-one. 14 seconds left. You don't want to leave any clock left for Kobe. You know what he's capable of right here. He's swinging around. Jody Meeks, Steve Nash. Oh, pump. He's pulling it. He's pulling it. That's what 2K does. It's off. It's off. It's off. It's off. Kobe. He is not going to choke these free throws. Kobe hit the first free throw. With this second free throw here, I don't think there's any way that LA wins this. No timeouts. About to be down by 5 with only 3 seconds. It's impossible, right? The inbound, Pau Gasol, LeBron, hoist the full court shot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't matter. The Heat do it. Kobe remains another season. Kobe and his team were rightfully celebrating this win, but while they were doing that, they didn't realize just how much this loss meant for LeBron. Because in 2014, LeBron wouldn't have another chance. Durant and the Thunder were defeating him to challenge Kobe. And while Durant was an incredible player and would give us one of the best scoring battles of all time against the Mamba, he and his roster weren't good enough to beat Kobe Bryant in this stacked Heat. Meaning Kobe now has won 4 championships straight to get within 2 rings of LeBron, but there was a much bigger story to tell. Following that ring, Bryant was officially deciding to return to Cleveland, and on top of that, another dynasty was developing.
How do you put this team into words, Golden State?
Steph is obviously the best player in the world right now.
When you get off to that 12-0 start, you have people start to whisper about Michael Jordan and that Chicago team.
Golden State sitting on top of the Western Conference.
They have changed and revolutionized the way the game is played. There's no other team in the world that plays like them.
The Warriors were taking the league by storm starting in 2015, and they would have run the Western Conference for years to come. Meaning from this point forward, LeBron would see zero success whatsoever, and come 2017, he would officially be announcing his retirement from the sport of basketball. Which means now his ring count is locked in at 6, and with 10 more seasons to play, Kobe has a chance to pass him up. But like I said, the Warriors team was a dynasty in the making, and as we all know, in 2017, after acquiring Durant, there isn't a team in NBA history who could stop them. They'd be defeating Kobe and the Cavs in both 2017 and 2018, but that still leaves the 15 and 16 seasons. As we remember in real life, this was a climactic battle between LeBron and Curry, and it's likely to be the same here. So for that reason, we'll come back to it later, and instead talk about Bryant's last stretch with the Lakers first, which would start with a mediocre team in 2019, but Kobe would still try to will his way to a ring. He'd have a great year personally, but this was reminiscent of his early Cavaliers teams without a lot of star help. The season will end in his first missed playoffs since the mid-2000s, but in 2020, Anthony Davis was arriving to bring him all the help he needed. Kobe has never played with a big man at the caliber of skill as Anthony Davis. Bosh and Love were both good, but they were no AD. The Lakers also had great role players like Alex Caruso rounding them out. With that said, it was by no surprise that they would find themselves in the finals this season. It was a matchup against the Sixers, and while they were good competition, the Lakers were favorites the whole way through. This roster, so seamlessly rounded out with talent all the way through the bench, was one of the best overall units built around Kobe to date. It was perfect for the Mamba, and it was resulting in him adding his 5th championship to his collection. But for whatever reason, the front office would completely dismantle the team following this ring. The duo of Kobe and AD would still be dominant for the next several years, but without an ideal supporting cast built around them, they'd fall short to other up-and-coming teams in the West for the next few years. This would go all the way to the modern day 2024, and Kobe's Lakers tenure would end with only 1 ring. But we still have to go back to the year 2015 before this thing is over. As we mentioned earlier, this Warriors team has fully blossomed into the NBA's most exciting show, and it was kicking off this year with Curry earning his first MVP. His three-point shooting was going to be a massive challenge to keep up with, but Kobe was up for the challenge. He was a veteran in this league, and while Curry was looking like the future, Kobe was still the now. The Warriors had a fantastic defense, but they weren't built to stop a scorer as dominant as Kobe. And when you pair the excellence of Kyrie going head-to-head with Curry, it was a formula for success. Kobe would also take on the task of guarding Steph, and slowing him down slightly may have been the difference maker. The matches were close, but the series wasn't, as the Cavaliers were shutting down the Warriors' hopes of a championship materializing. So now Kobe is up to 6 rings, which officially ties LeBron, and with 1 year left, he has a chance to end it in a tie or completely win altogether. But with 2016 being the Warriors' 73-win season, it wouldn't be easy. This time around, the Warriors were even better than 2015, and they were playing as a team trying to get a championship. Everyone's shooting was scorching hot, and they were playing hard on both ends of the floor. But Kobe was going for 6 straight, and this was his league. This finals would act as a culmination of all his lows and highs throughout his career. All the losses he took early on that hardened his focus up until now. All of his wins teaching him what it takes to be the best. Out of all of his final series, he will put it all together. This was Kobe's masterclass. This very well could be the craziest finals performance in NBA history. The Cleveland Cavaliers get it done in 6. And just like that, Kobe has got ring 7. He's passed Jordan in the GOAT debate and not only beat LeBron, but came back down 6-0. Kobe has now proven himself as the GOAT, but what if his teammates and the man they just battled with swap their careers too? Find out by clicking this video next, where I swapped Kyrie Irving and Stephen Curry's careers. LeBron James is considered one of the greatest basketball players ever, but there's always discussion comparing him to Michael Jordan. So today we're going to be flipping the script and putting Jordan in LeBron's shoes. He'll play throughout James' entire NBA career, switching between teams just as he did, to finally see if Jordan could outperform LeBron. But that's not all, because we're also going to be giving LeBron the opportunity to live out Mike's NBA career, which leads us to our competition, where each player will try to overcome their legacy by winning more rings than their rival did. Meaning Jordan needs to win 5 rings in LeBron's shoes to win, and LeBron needs to win 7 in Mike's if he wants to be crowned the GOAT. And don't worry, in the event of a tiebreaker, we have something planned. But for now, we are far away from any rings at all, as we start this off all the way back in 1985, where a rookie LeBron James is starting to get his feet wet with the Chicago Bulls. Already in his career, he's looking to be one of the most exciting stars the NBA has to offer. His averages were instantly on par with the top players in the league, and as you'd expect, he'd be recognized as the Rookie of the Year. Really impressive year for King James. I was expecting the Rookie of the Year, but what stands out more is the 3-point percentage. He's bringing the modern 3-point revolution to the 90s and the 80s, and it's going to be exciting to watch. But excitement is only going to take him so far, because come the first round of the playoffs, he was reminded that he was the new kid in town, and the Pistons were quickly humbling LeBron. It was a disaster in round 1, and James was brought back down to earth just as quickly as he got to the top. Luckily though, if we fast forward almost 20 years to Jordan's rookie campaign, it was nearly identical to the experience LeBron was having in Mike's place. All of the stats were there, and Jordan was immediately becoming a player to watch by everybody around the world. He'd get the Rookie of the Year the same as LeBron in '85, and even managed to make the playoffs this year, which LeBron couldn't in his reality. But the playoffs would be short-lived, because believe it or not, Jordan was facing the Pistons in round 1 just like LeBron did. With a near 2-decade gap between the two events, the same exact franchise would be defeating both of our stars. And the losing wasn't stopping there, because over the next 2 seasons, the Pistons were a thorn in Mike's side. He was playing great against them and showcasing some spectacular individual performances, but it wasn't enough to get past Detroit, who just seemed to have Mike all figured out. Likewise, back in the 80s, LeBron was having just as hard of a time finding any playoff success. He was getting beat down by the Boston Celtics for the next few years, but there was a difference. LeBron was met with the media coverage optimistic that he's next up after Bird, but Jordan didn't have the same approach.
I'm tired of this man being celebrated. For what? We know you're great. How about winning? Win for once. Just win. Yeah. Just win, baby.
Jordan was being held to a higher standard and was called a failure, but he was ready to prove everyone wrong. Coming into the 2007 NBA season, he was looking to redeem himself for the failures the previous 3 years. His stats would see strong improvements, and his game was evolving into one of the most elite scoring options in the NBA. He'd average a league-leading 32.1 points per game and was taking an otherwise underwhelming Cavaliers team to the spotlight of the NBA. Michael was leading his team to a top seed, and along with it, he was becoming a fan favorite in Cleveland, but also a favorite of basketball enjoyers in general. This excellent season will result in the first of what could be multiple MVPs, and it was looking like this could be his breakout year. Come the playoffs, Jordan was building upon this generational regular season and was ready to steam past whoever was in his way. To kick things off, he was facing the defending champion Miami Heat and their athletic star Dwayne Wade. The two were drafted together 4 years ago and will be teaming up in Miami soon enough, but for now they're foes. Wade has been impressive so far, but Michael Jordan was already establishing himself as one of the best players to ever play, and he would be in complete control throughout this series, and it would result in him coming out on top. Round 2 was a matchup against Kidd and the high-flying Vince Carter in New Jersey. They were one of the East's better teams, and they have been contending for the past few seasons, but there wasn't going to be anything getting in Mike's way, it seemed. He just about single-handedly would defeat the Nets to advance to the conference finals, and that would be kicking off against the Sixers out in Philadelphia, which would be a complete domination from Jordan, as the Cavaliers end the Sixers season and are celebrating their first NBA Finals appearance in their franchise's history, and now have a chance to cap off Jordan's remarkable year. But with Mike going up against the San Antonio Spurs, this is going to be a very difficult series for him to try to win. In LeBron's reality, he also faced this San Antonio team in his first finals appearance, but he was sent packing in a sweep. So now Jordan not only has the chance to make the first strike here, but also do something LeBron failed to do. With Tim Duncan standing in his way, this would be by far the most daunting task yet, and Jordan was going to have to play literally perfect. And it absolutely looked like he was, because on his home court for the first 2 games, Jordan was making 0 mistakes. We were witnessing one of the most efficient games ever played. Nobody on San Antonio's roster was making an impact on him defensively, and the only person stopping him could be himself. The Spurs were completely stunned, and the frustration was setting in, trying to figure out how to stop Mike. That was the problem though. They weren't going to stop Mike. It just wasn't happening, and on home court, he was winning the first 2 games. But as this thing shifted to Texas, the Spurs realized what they had to do. It wasn't stopping Mike that they needed to figure out a game plan for, it was outscoring him. On their own home court, their strategy shifted to playing as a team and ensuring they got good, high-quality looks. This involved a lot of low post-ups for Tim Duncan, with the Cavs struggling to stop him. Also, we'd see a lot of 2-man action between Parker and Duncan. The experienced Spurs were figuring things out while retaliating back into this series. But the trend was continuing here back in Cleveland for Game 5, and then moving into San Antonio for Game 6, the series would lock in for 7 after the home team has won every single match. The NBA Finals are here with the Mavs and the Celtics, and it's going to be even more exciting with today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. And now is the perfect time to check it out, because Pick 8 is now live for the finals. With the brand new limited time Pick 8, you'll be able to make entries with up to 8 picks. And Underdog will automatically double flex your entry, so even if 2 of your picks miss, you're still gonna win. And the best part of Pick 8 is you can win up to 325 times your money on a single entry, and there's a special pick'em for Kyrie Irving in Game 2 of the Finals that is only here for a limited time, so check it out while you still can. When you sign up for a new account at UnderdogFantasy.com and use code Allen, you'll get up to $250 in bonus cash, and on top of that, you'll also get a special pick to help with your first entry. It's really a no-brainer to sign up for Underdog Fantasy today, and if you know me, you know I only work with brands that I genuinely like, and Underdog is seriously fun. I have a blast playing it, and I play it all the time. If you're in one of the available regions, I seriously cannot recommend enough giving Underdog Fantasy a try. So check out the description or the pinned comment below for a link to go sign up, and make sure you use code ALAN, A-L-A-N, to ensure you get up to $250 in bonus cash. Big shout out to Underdog for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to Game 7. And with Game 7 in Cleveland, can Jordan keep this narrative alive? The answer to that question was evidently going to be up in the air, because these two teams are clashing and it didn't seem like either was willing to give up a run to the other. Late in the fourth quarter, both sides will huddle for a timeout, with the results of this finals being far from decided. This Game 7 is still completely up in the air. Whoever wins here wins the finals. This could be huge for Jordan versus LeBron in this competition. The Spurs have it now, 45 seconds remaining. Tony Parker, Tim Duncan pick and roll. It's been a struggle to guard all series. Tony Parker does miss that pull-up though. Great screen from Duncan. The Cavs are not taking a timeout. Michael Jordan with the ball now. Tied game, 33 seconds. Manu Ginobili on him. He's got the ISO. The little mid-range floater hisses off. No timeout from the Spurs either. Both sides are choking here in the clutch. The pressure is building. Tony Parker looking for an opening. He's slowing it down, bringing it back out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another pick and roll. It does go down low. Tim Duncan, oh my God. Tim Duncan, the fundamental, the shimmy, the hook. It's off. No, the rebound. Another one. It's off again. No one can score. Cleveland timeout. Now with both sides struggling to steal the lead late, Jordan and his Cavs were preparing for a chance to win on the final shot. This thing is not over yet. After a timeout, we are in Game 7, 8 seconds left. Michael Jordan could have an opportunity to end it here in his first finals. They're going to him in the low post. One-on-one with Manu Ginobili. The fake. He's going for the spin. That's an easy hey! Jordan gives him the lead with 0.2 left. That is the biggest shot of his entire career. He delivers. With 0.2 left, the Spurs attempted an inbound lob, but it failed, which means Michael Jordan has led the Cavaliers to an NBA championship 5 years faster than LeBron did in his own shoes. Meaning MJ is now happily taking a 1-0 lead in this competition early and would look to hold on. But that may be out of his control, because while he and his team celebrate their trophy now, the next 3 seasons straight, the Cavaliers were falling short to the newly formed super team in Boston. It was clear Mike needs help if he's going to overcome this new hurdle, and he'd be getting that the following year. But for now, he's looking like he met his match versus this Celtics team, and before we see if he can overcome them, we gotta talk more about LeBron. The last time we spoke about him, he was also losing to the Celtics super team led by Larry Bird. Up through his first 4 years in the league, he was getting completely crushed by Boston, but in year 5, he broke through. In 1986, he earned his first MVP, and he's played great since then, but wasn't the best player in ball. Now in 1989, it was undeniable that he was the greatest player this sport has ever seen. His numbers were sky high, and he was earning his second MVP of his career, all before making it to the NBA Finals for a matchup with the Los Angeles Lakers. In 2007, Jordan did what LeBron couldn't. He won in 2007, but now LeBron has a chance to win his first ring 2 years before Jordan ever did. This could be massive for James. In Jordan's reality, he was still losing to the Pistons with no finals appearances by this point. But LeBron was much larger and stronger than Mike, and the Pistons' physicality wasn't an issue for him. Which means now in the finals 2 years ahead of Mike, he also has a chance to do something Jordan couldn't. It'd be huge for his legacy, but at the same time, it would tie him back up in this competition. But the only problem was, Magic Johnson was the face of the NBA and was in his way, paired also with the NBA's all-time scoring leader. The Lakers were absolutely smacking LeBron around. It was an impressive feat to make it this far in just his 5th year, but in their current structure, the Chicago Bulls were not going to be any competition for the Lakers. Los Angeles had a dynasty throughout the 80s for a reason, and it was apparent in this matchup. LeBron was losing in his first ever finals, which would be a stain on his legacy because Jordan never lost in the finals. But don't worry just yet, LeBron fans, this wouldn't be his last chance. The following year, James was eager to bounce back after being embarrassed against the Lakers the year prior. With as good as he's been over the last few years, you wouldn't expect him to get any better, but somehow he was continuing to push to an even higher level, and it was something the NBA had never seen before. For a while now, the league has been in full control by Magic Johnson and Larry Bird together, but this year LeBron wanted to tell the world it was his league now. After earning a back-to-back MVP, he went to the playoffs and will work through the East to make his way back to the finals for a rematch with Magic, and this time he planned to take the torch from Johnson. As this series was kicking off, you could just tell that LeBron was seeking revenge here. It wasn't just another finals where he was locked in trying to win his first championship. This matchup meant a lot more to him than just a trophy and a ring. This matchup meant proving that he's better than Magic Johnson, and he's going to be the new face of the NBA. LeBron wanted to prove to the fans he was the greatest human to ever play the sport of basketball, and with the lights the brightest and the entire world watching every moment, he was delivering on his goals. His finals averages were numbers that you think someone completely made up to write headlines and bring in more revenue, but that wasn't the case. James was simply playing at a level that we've never seen up to this point, and in a closeout game 5, this thing was practically over. LeBron James and his Bulls lead this series 3-1 in game 5 on their home court. There's 2 minutes left in the game, but it's pretty much over. They're up by over 30 points. LeBron's getting it done. He's winning a championship with another point, an exclamation mark to close this thing out. He's getting it done. He's winning a championship quicker than Michael Jordan did in his own reality. And we all know what LeBron's capable of. When he starts getting to these finals, he doesn't stop. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more of this for the next several years. But before we get into the next season, first we'll update our tracker. Now that LeBron has closed the gap and tied everything back up. And as a reminder, Mike isn't doing any winning for a while, so the door is wide open for LeBron. Things were looking great for James, because as I anticipated, LeBron was on his way to getting to the finals again. Not a soul in the Eastern Conference gave him and Pippen any challenge in the playoffs, and he was barreling through it all again. James was getting his 4th MVP of his career already with even more impressive numbers, and at this point it was a given that he'd win the award. But even more importantly, he was winning the conference finals to advance to an opportunity to repeat as NBA champions. And with the young Utah Jazz waiting for him on the other end, it was highly likely he would. This matchup was deeper than just basketball. This was about stopping a predator and keeping the local Utah middle schools safe. I think we can safely say in this moment, every one of us are rooting for LeBron James, and hopefully that he can stop Utah from winning an NBA championship. Luckily for us, in our country's adolescence, James was continuing to destroy everything in his path. He was winning his 2nd straight finals to get ring 2 and start the 90s by forming his own dynasty. This also meant he took the lead over Jordan, and he likely wouldn't stop right there, because the next regular season was his best yet. His teammates around him were developing, and he was continuing to adapt to the 90s game. His extensive size paired with the skill levels of the modern NBA was translating incredibly to this era, and he'd end the season with the best record yet, and of course more accolades. Another MVP for LeBron James. At this point, he's just getting it every single year. That's 5 of them. He's got a little bit less points per game as his teammates are getting better, but more rebounds and more assists, and his defense is enough to also get him the defensive player of the year. He's dominating Michael Jordan's era right now and showing no signs of slowing down. LeBron was getting right back into the finals again for his 4th straight trip, and this time around he was playing against the Portland Trail Blazers. While Drexler was the best shooting guard in the league and a solid scoring option, the results of this series would still be the same as they were in real life with Jordan against Portland. LeBron was keeping this series completely out of reach for Portland all the way through, much like he has the last 2 finals trips. This run he has been on in the early 90s was clearly no fluke, and as he wins this series in 5 like it was nothing, he'd be extending his lead even further ahead of Jordan, now having a 3-1 advantage. There was of course excitement about the Bulls pulling off the 3-peat, but LeBron had his sights set on the 4-peat. But come the 1993 finals, those hopes were in jeopardy versus the Suns. Barkley was on the hunt for his 1st ring and was playing at an MVP caliber level. Of all the matchups LeBron has faced in his career so far, Barkley was the one player who matched up the best versus him. Things weren't looking good after the first 2 games in Chicago, and the Suns found themselves with a commanding lead. With the next games on the road, it could be easy for LeBron to fold under the pressure here, but that isn't what the King would do. The rest of his team may have gotten complacent after winning 3 straight, but LeBron wasn't going to let that affect him. He was clawing his way back into the series to win the next 2 on the road and getting things back tied up. Funnily enough, this series would be the opposite of Jordan's first final series that saw the home team winning every time. In this series, the away team was winning every single match to tie things all up for a Game 7 finale. This was LeBron's first Game 7 he'd play in, but it was the second Game 7 we've seen in this competition, and this one was very similar to our first. It was a close battle through and through and would ultimately be decided in the final moments. Just like we saw with the finals with Jordan in 2007, we have a tight Game 7, and this could be absolutely huge. LeBron could 4-peat, which Michael Jordan never did. Oh my God, an insane pass down low. It's off. LeBron gets the rebound. 40 seconds remain. That was an insane sequence by the Phoenix Suns. I did not expect them to go that quick. They kind of threw me off here. LeBron at the top now. Game tied. 32 seconds remaining. LeBron driving, and he's in a post. This is where he's at his best. His hook. Oh my God. It rims out. It rims out. The Phoenix Suns have it now. They're pushing the pace. No timeouts. No one's using timeouts. Charles Barkley with it. Throws it around to Johnson. Johnson at the top now. 15 seconds left in the game. Tied ball game. What are they going to go to here? They're not going to Charles Barkley. It's insane. Kevin Johnson with the ball. He's trying to drive it. Going nowhere with it. Pump, pump. The little floater. It's off. Bulls timeout. If you remember, Jordan won his Game 7 at the buzzer in 07, and now LeBron has a chance to do the same. The question is, will he step up or will he fall short in the moment? This ending is insane. These teams are making quick plays. I can barely keep up with it. The Bulls now have a chance. LeBron James could get ring 4. He gets the ball off the inbound. He's deep. He's going nowhere with it. The pull-up jumper. Oh my God. We're in overtime now. A minute and 11 left. The game is just as close. They've barely scored, I think, 4 points each. Not much has happened. LeBron with the ball now with a minute remaining. He's trying to get ring number 4 to get a large lead over Jordan. The pull-up jumper. That one is good. Can't celebrate too early, though, if you are a LeBron James fan. The Phoenix Suns have plenty of time left, but they're kind of struggling to score here. So I wouldn't be surprised to throw it over here to the left to Tom Chambers in a post. He has the size advantage. That's a really tough lay. It's going nowhere. If you score here, this could be the dagger. This could be huge. LeBron slowing down the pace. He's got the mismatch, the smaller defender on him, sizing him up. LeBron driving in. He's going to his left in the post. Oh my God, he's way too deep. LeBron is providing in the clutch. Unless Phoenix has a miracle up their sleeve, this one might be over. LeBron is just determined here to get ring number 4. He's a man on a mission. They have to go quick. Kevin Johnson with it. You don't have a lot of time to waste. This is not a 3-point shooting league at this point, so a 4-point lead is huge. Kevin Johnson with it now. This paint is insanely crowded. They get to Charles Barkley. He should have been had it. They're going to Chambers again, who does sink the lay. Of course, they're playing the foul game. LeBron James on the line. Misses the first. He's not a great free throw shooter. He's been clutch so far, but the free throw line could be his kryptonite here. He can put him up by 3 if he hits this one. That one's good. Now with Phoenix taking a timeout in these final moments, LeBron will find himself one stop away from a ring. Phoenix coming out of possibly their biggest timeout in franchise history. LeBron at least did not give Phoenix the opportunity to win the game here. They can tie it, send it to a double overtime. He at least did that. They have the ball now. Charles Barkley, they're swinging around. Are they going to go for the last shot? They're going to go quick is the question. Dumas here with the right. With LeBron James on you, the defensive play of the year. I don't think you want to attack that. Charles Barkley swings it around. Marjorie for the 3. It's off. It's off. Paxson with a great free throw shooter. That might do it. Paxson does sink both free throws. Unless Phoenix gets an insanely quick 3 here and the inbound steal, it's over. There's no way. There's not enough time left. That 3 is off. LeBron James officially does it. He 4-peats, something Jordan never did. That 4-peat now put LeBron up big, and it might look like this is already over, but there'd be a huge change. LeBron was retiring for a year to go play baseball instead, and that was a bust until he returned late in the 95 NBA season where the Chicago Bulls were already missing the playoffs. And while this is happening, back in Jordan's time, he was making it official that he was joining the Miami Heat, meaning now he was teaming up with the electrifying Dwayne Wade to form a star duo. They also had Chris Bosh, who at this time was one of the better bigs in the league. All expectations were that this Heat team was completely unfair and would control the NBA from this point forward. With that said, it's very likely that Mike can get right back into this competition in the blink of an eye. But that couldn't have been further from the truth, because in 2011, facing the Lakers in the finals, the Heat's lack of depth was becoming a major issue against the 2-time defending champion Lakers. Kobe Bryant was matching Michael point for point on offense, and paired with the bigs outside of Miami, this wasn't going as planned. The Lakers are going to be coming out on top over the Heat and shut down their hopes of a ring. And the letdown wasn't over yet, because back to the finals in 2012, Jordan and his crew thought that this year there was no way they could be stopped. In the finals against the Thunder, everything seemed to be going well for them offensively, but at the same time, with no LeBron, they had no matchup for the size and talent of Kevin Durant. KD was embarrassing Miami, and by all accounts, this was looking like the greatest letdown in NBA history. Again, Jordan was finding himself losing the finals and was still locked at 1 ring. And to make matters worse, let's get back to LeBron, who in 1996 was back in full swing with an entire season behind him and picking up right where he left off. He was winning the chip again in 1996 to go along with that year's finals MVP, and going into 1997 for a rematch of the 91 finals, he was crushing the Utah Jazz yet again to earn ring 6, meaning LeBron has already matched Jordan's 6 rings and still has time to pass him, while Jordan is only at 1 ring in LeBron's shoes. But before we get to the 1998 season for Bron, let's first see if Jordan can get a single ring during his Heat tenure. In 2013, after looking like one of sports' biggest laughing stocks, he was putting up his most impressive season so far. D-Wade was slowing down, and by all accounts, Jordan was picking up the slack wherever needed, and it resulted in something special. Really solid year from Michael Jordan. He ends up with the MVP with a really well-rounded stat line, a lot more than just scoring. Hopefully this year he can get back in the winning with his trip to the finals. Somehow the Grizzlies made it all the way to the finals. With no real star in their roster, they'd be at a major disadvantage. They had one of the league's top defenses, but against one of the greatest scorers in this sport's history, it wasn't going to be enough to get the job done. Jordan was doing it. He was finally getting a ring with Miami and back into winning. So now he would be getting his 2nd ring in LeBron's shoes, but the job isn't finished. By no surprise, Mike was in the finals again in 2014, and this time was a rematch with KD. Just like we saw in 2012, these two scoring juggernauts were clashing head-to-head with each other, but this time around, the Heat would have much more depth and size. And that would be the difference maker as Jordan repeats here in Miami. Finals MVP for Jordan, another impressive series. This win right here gives him 3 rings, which means at the end of his Heat tenure, he has more than LeBron did when LeBron finished with the Heat. And going to the Cavs to play with Kyrie this following year, this competition just got a lot closer. His time with the Miami Heat was successful and he had some great personal years, but that was nothing compared to his play with the Cavaliers for the second time. Mike paired with Kyrie was a dream pairing with the scoring capabilities. We all know just how good LeBron and Kyrie together was, and in this reality, Mike and Kyrie were far better. Jordan was undoubtedly the MVP this year, and somehow it looked like he was getting even better. LeBron should be getting worried right about now, because heading into the playoffs, Jordan was certainly going to be a nearly automatic for the finals. Jordan and the Cavs were proving me right come the playoffs, because none of the series in the East were even worth going into detail about. They were all 1 in 6 matches or less, and for the most part they had the lead all the way through the conference finals. Well, with no Warriors waiting for Michael Jordan in the finals, I'm pretty sure he's about to tie up LeBron, because this young James Harden in 2015, no way in the world they're beating Jordan and Kyrie. Harden was smaller than Jordan, which made things near impossible for him on defense, and at this point Harden wasn't yet the MVP caliber scorer that we remember, which meant this was a cakewalk for Mike. In all honesty, this was probably the easiest finals Jordan has experienced so far, and it felt kind of surreal. But either way, Jordan was now locking in 4 rings to match LeBron. And with King James not winning at all with the Wizards in the early 2000s, that means he only has 1 season left with the Bulls to shoot for 7. In the 98 finals, they were facing John Stockton and Karl Malone again for the 3rd time. If you remember before, LeBron has always destroyed the Jazz in the finals, but this time will be different with a lot less production from Scottie Pippen. Karl Malone was playing the absolute best basketball of his entire career in an attempt to win his first ring, and if the Bulls couldn't keep up with his scoring, this one would be over. LeBron was making great efforts trying to keep his team in this, but for the first time since 1989, LeBron was being kept at bay and his opponent was outplaying him. Utah was finally overcoming LeBron James here in his final year, and that means now with his career wrapped up, he was locked at 6, and his only hope was that Jordan wouldn't get another ring. But with 2016 looking like another unstoppable year for the duo of Jordan and Kyrie, LeBron may just be out of luck. MJ was crushing everyone in his way in the Eastern Conference again and would once more be making it to the NBA Finals. But these finals would present the biggest challenge Mike has had yet. Of course, we all know what Steph Curry is capable of and the fact that he was LeBron's biggest rival in his career. He was also paired with the highly impressive Klay Thompson, who helped them get 73 wins. With Golden State's high-powered offense, we were sure to see an intense, close series. But I was wrong. Michael Jordan was on a different planet than the rest of the league right now, and he will put down the Warriors and keep his foot on the pedal the entire way through. This series unfortunately wasn't even close, and I was just as shocked as all of you. You know, I've never been much of a Jordan fan, way before my time, but I cannot deny the fact this has got to be the greatest finals of all time. And on top of that, one hell of a playoff run in general. They only lost 1 game in the finals versus the Golden State Warriors. You have to tip your hats to what Michael Jordan was able to do here with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So now Jordan has officially gotten ring 5 to win this challenge by outperforming LeBron's legacy. But let's check out a summary of the rest of his career just for fun. The next 2 seasons, he'd finally be losing in the finals again to the hands of the KD Warriors. Eventually, he'd make his way to Los Angeles to team up with Anthony Davis, and this duo was perfect. Having such a dominant big was new for Jordan, and the chemistry couldn't have been better. In 2020, this duo would lead the Lakers to a ring just like LeBron did, but MJ was taking it a step further, because in 2021, back in the finals against the Bucks, Jordan was going on to win his 7th NBA championship in LeBron's shoes. This would be his last ring, as he would near retirement from here on. But we can go without saying Jordan claims the GOAT in this reality. But what about LeBron versus another GOAT like Kobe? You can find out how that would go by watching this video next.